Welcome to TCH Live. We are in Austin, Texas for the Showdown at the Capitol, a monthly signature event here at the club. This is a $400 buy-in, 100K guarantee tournament. Got some notable players at this final table. We'll get to the players in a moment. Kyle Frisbee joining you this evening along with Bones. Know him from our many of our recent cast streams, so great to have you in the booth tonight, Bones.
Thanks, Kyle. It's good to be back here. It's been a few years since I've been in the TCH booth.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to have you back, and I know you're going to have a ton of familiarity with at least Mixon. I know for sure. I think we've all played with Sean in seat 7. John in seat 2 returning to a final table stream for the second time in just a few weeks. Good to have him back. Josh, our tournament director, getting things kicked off with the table here. Julia in the box, dishing out the cards.
To use your phone.
Let everybody know what we're playing for tonight. 21,700 up top. All these players have locked up 2170, so as the math usually works out, they can 10x their win by outlasting 8 other players. Excellent payout structure for a one-day tournament. And we'll get the cards in the air. We're starting at the 20-40K blind level with the big blind ante. Here's your chip stacks. Patrick coming in as the chip leader. Nam also played a lot of poker with Nam, mostly cash. He's got 1.4 million. And everybody going to be waiting to see what Degen does at the bottom. He's only got about 4.5 bigs or so.
So I've played quite a bit of tournaments with Augie in seats 4 or 5. He's a very solid player. I've always been impressed with his play. And, of course, I played quite a bit with Mixon over the years.
Yeah, Mixon, kind of a well-known local tournament pro. Good to see him here. Nam with the first raise of the night makes it 125K with the ace-queen offsuit. And Medi waking up with a couple of 9s, sitting on 800K.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a spot where you're not going to want to 3-bet too much because of the short stack. So he's going to... what are the blinds right now?
40,000.
40. Okay. Yeah, this is not that comfortable. I would say if he had 6s, it's probably a fold. The problem is the open raise size is so big that the stacked pot ratio is not terribly forgiving, and he really doesn't want to bust before the short stack in this spot.
And Nam's going to brick the flop. No backdoor spades either.
The king high boards are very good to c-bet. They're almost always very high frequency c-bets for the opening raiser, but he's going to check here, which is understandable. I think he expects Medi to have a pretty strong flatting range given the stacks.
Medi is going to go ahead and bet 65,000.
This is a really small bet. It's tough to get some folds with this bet, and I think your hand kind of wants to fold. But wow, that's a very effective bet. I would not have expected Nam to fold there, given that price. But good job for Medi.
Yeah, I agree with you. Pretty small sizing there. I guess don't have to win a high percentage of small bluffs like that, but I think somewhat lucky to go ahead and just get that one through. As mentioned, Degen sitting on 145K is going to be the far and away short stack in seat 4. So a lot of these players going to wait to see what happens with Degen, see if she can double up or exit stage left. Jason incorrectly called him John to start the show. Apologies to Jason, but good to have him back at a final table. It's got a couple of 8s under the gun.
Yeah, this is, again, probably towards the bottom of my opening range in this spot. He's got one of these stacks that can be bullied around a little bit by some of the bigger stacks, but looks like he's going to be able to call it off here against the queen 10.
Yeah, it looks like Cameron does have a suited ace in the big blind. See see what he wants to do here, sitting on 745.
The problem for Cam here is that the betting is reopened, and Jason should have a pretty strong under the gun opening range, and it's a pretty big disaster if Cam calls here and gets jammed on.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he is going to go ahead and make the call that under the gun opening range would be my biggest fear. See how Jason wants to proceed. And Cameron actually is going to try to isolate. He 3-bets to 340 with the ace-9 of hearts.
So this looks like a really strong hand. Yeah, I would fold a lot of hands there in Jason's spot, and good for Cam that he found this. But I think 3-betting is maybe better than calling.
Yeah, also would be curious to know what history, if Cameron knows that his under the gun is. He is going to outflop DGen with top pair here. Going to need some help. Looking for a jack and a jack only for DGen to continue her night. Does not come, and so Cameron with the aggressive approach to playing the ace-9 of hearts is going to win a pretty nice spot and get his stack up over 1 million chips. To continue the thought there, though, I wonder if Cam may have known from previous tables throughout the night if the under the gun opening range of Jason could be a little bit wider there.
Yeah, that's kind of the difficulty in watching these hands without any knowledge of what they played through in the last, 10 hours, 12 hours, however long they've been playing. You don't know what kind of history they have built up. You don't know what kind of physical reads they have. So we're just trying to do this analysis in kind of a vacuum and try to defer to the players a little bit when there are some unusual lines. They may have some history with the player or some live reads that we don't have access to.
I want to welcome everybody to the chat. Marispi hopping in. Lee Orts says he's rooting for Mixon. Lee, good to have you back on one of our stream chats. Randall with the ace-queen in the cutoff, going to raise it up to 110K. Looks like he's just going to raise and take down the blinds and ante. To stack up over 1 million, right about even with Mixon. If you're joining us a couple minutes into the stream, just want to remind everybody what we're playing for here. This was a 100K guarantee, $400 buy-in, single-day event. This is a signature monthly event here at TCH Social in Austin. 21,700 up top. All these players have now locked up 2690 with DGen being eliminated in 9th place. Want to congratulate her on a final table. Augie, couple of 10s under the gun. It's going to raise 2x. Folds quickly around to the big blind. Nam with the king 9-0. Just one additional big blind to complete, and he will defend.
Very standard defend there.
And going to be rewarded with top pair, king, jack, deuce, rainbow.
I would expect Augie to bet 1 to 1.5 big blinds here. Like we talked about those king high boards, especially the king high 2 Broadway boards here. He's just going to hit this board a lot better than the big blind defend.
Does continue 55K. I'm going to make the call, as you would expect. And turn is a set for Augie.
You drinking beer still?
Does, of course, bring in potential straights. Nam does block some straights.
Yeah, I would expect Augie to size up here a little bit, even with the presence of the 2 straights. Yeah, his hand's just really strong, and now I'm just going to have a bunch of hands that are pair plus gut shot, pair plus open ender, similar to what Nam has, that are just going to be in a spot where they're going to be willing to call a pretty decent sized bet.
Bet is 185,000 into about 350K. Nam makes the call. 700K in the middle. River is a relative brick.
And now Augie's thinking, what hands do I want to target? Do I want to size down here to get a call from like Jack 9, or are you trying to get calls from 2 pair and kings that don't want to fold?
What size would you favor in this spot if you're Augie?
I generally go pretty big here. Let's see, a little more than 1.1. This feels a bit big. I would actually kind of expect to get check raised quite a bit with 2 pairs on the turn. Nice fold by Nam. I would say something in the neighborhood of 40% pot, somewhere around there. Of course, it's easy, seeing that Nam has top pair, and that's probably the extent of what top pair would call there. But that seems about right. But again, I haven't played with Nam. I don't really know what his turn play looks like. There's some people who just if they have 2 pair in the turn, they're just happy to stack off with it. And against those people, I would want to size down a bit with my value, make sure I get called, because they're probably just not calling. They probably just have 1 pair in the river, and they're probably very sensitive to bet sizing.
As it stands, Nam makes the fold. Augie chips up second in chips now, 1.5 million in his stack. As we move forward, Mehdi going to make the raise with King Queen offsuit, 2x, sitting on just over $1 million in chips to start the hand.
Playing some with Cam, it would not have surprised me if he found a 3-bet there.
Jason on the button with the suited ace-6.
It's going to be a bit tricky. Obviously, suited aces are nice to have, but you're just dominated a lot by the under the gun opening range. So
Augie with another pocket pair, just one additional blind to see a flop versus 2 opponents. I believe the answer is no, Bones, but do you ever consider squeezing?
no.
Yeah, not with a
No,
small pair like that, right?
not versus under the gun opening range and a button flat. I expect them to both be pretty strong ranges, and your hand does not flop terribly well. It flops well when it flops the nuts or it flops nothing. And if you end up playing a 3-bet pot, you're just going to flop nothing a whole lot, and you're going to be out of position with a very short SPR. SPR is stack to pot ratio. Sorry if I used too much poker jargon.
We use SPR on here. Hopefully the listeners
Okay.
have learned. Mehdi going to go ahead and continue for 70K with his 2 overs and a gut shot.
I think I would check my entire range as Mehdi, but as far as C-bets go, this one ranks pretty high up there for what I would want to do. I would expect both the button and the big blind to have all the sets. Maybe sometimes they have jacks and they 3-bet it, but you run into a lot of straights, 2 pairs, sets, things that are better than things that they don't necessarily want to stack off, or things that want to stack off against your under the gun opening range, and especially multi-way. But if I did have a C-betting range, King Queen would definitely be in it. So
I want to welcome Matt in Texas back to chat. Good to have you with us tonight. Folds around to the button. Nom will let the 9-4-0 go back to Julia.
Oh, this one? Oh. Well, actually, I know several of the idiots. Cheers. Hey,
Blind v blind.
yeah.
Augie, 6-4 off. Gonna go ahead and limp.
This.
Medi with suited 7 deuce.
Yeah, I think both of these guys want to play very passively in this spot, given their chip stacks.
Little piece for both players. Gut shot for Augie. Medi flopping bottom pair.
This one is generally a board that's a bit better for the big blind. Although small blind, depending on how he structures his range, he can decide that he wants to limp 100% of hands here, in which case he would still have all the sets, he would still all the overpairs, a bunch of queens. But, wow, it's a bit tight of a fold, but, you know, he's facing, he doesn't improve very often, and it can be very difficult to play on later streets.
Yeah, it seems like players may be kind of feeling each other out early here. We've seen a few examples where players probably could have continued to a small c-bet, but chose to take the conservative route and just let it go.
Yeah, and definitely with ICM in play, you are a bit incentivized to play a bit tighter and not bluff catch as much. Basically, the theory is that the chips that you lose are more valuable than the chips that you gain. So playing cautiously when you have a hand that is essentially a bluff catcher and has very little way to improve towards the nuts, you can kind of shade to being a bit tighter, especially when you're playing against a covering stack.
Michael Ricciardi joining us in the box. We will be with you, of course, until the conclusion of the tournament tonight. We declare a winner who will take home, in perfect timing, Josh, tournament director, showing up with the trophy. Nice limestone, shape of Texas, one of my more coveted trophies to hold. Would look great on the mantle.
I know they're limestone, but they always look like Rice Krispie treats to me.
It's fair. Are you hungry when you look at it usually?
I am.
Ace King for Michael.
It seems like a pretty natural shove. Yeah.
He agrees. He's all in. Over the top of Randall's raise with King Queen O. King Jack gonna find the mold, the muck for Nom. Folds around back to Randall. King Queen suited, probably shrinking up in his mind at this very moment.
Yeah.
Be for the majority of his remaining chips. He'll let it go.
Michael doesn't look like a man that's out there getting out of line.
What was that count? Yeah. What was the count? 7:30. Thank you.
Relatively even chip distribution oftentimes will show up for one of these final tables. We'll have an overwhelming chip leader or some very wide disparity, but really worst to first in chips is basically one big pot.
Yeah. Whoever gets the next double or the next bust out will most likely separate themselves from the pack.
Jason, a couple of tanks in the low jack.
Off of 18 bigs.
Blinds have increased 25, 50K.
Oh, I'm sorry. So he's off of 14 bigs.
Very close.
Yeah.
Just notice it at the top right of your screen. Those of you watching. Raised to 105K by Jason. Folds around now to the big blind. It's going to make the call with the King 9. And that's top set. Stranglehold on this hand for Jason. Just kind of backdoor clubs and the overcard working for Randall. Goes check, check. 8 of hearts. Board gets a bit wetter. 2 flush draws and some straight possibilities.
I gotta say, I would definitely be interested in leading as Randall. Obviously, you know, it looks like we're running in the top set here, but with the 9, with the club, I think you have some pretty good. You have the gut shot, and then you have the flush that you can rep. But he lost less chips than I would have there, so good for him.
Yeah, small bet. We'll take it for Jason. And looks like Hi My Name is wants to ask you a question, Bones. Fire away. Hi, my name is.
Fire away.
I was caught up.
Bunch of very modest holdings are going to find the muck around to Patrick. Looks down at 7-6 suited, and it's going to raise the button to 130K. That'll be good enough to go ahead and take down this one uncontested.
That makes him chip leader. They're pretty close to it.
Yeah, I've played a fair amount with Patrick over the years. Tends to lean on the aggressive side.
For sure.
Very strong player.
This is a reference to a stream from years ago where there was a altcoin, I believe it was called Cum Rocket.
Did you buy some?
I have not. I have not. I got out of the Cum Rocket game.
Nam with the ace king offsuit, going to make a raise, 115K. Augie, ace jack, just lets
That's
it
good
find the
fold.
muck. Nice fold.
Yeah.
Medi,
This is another kind of tough spot.
yeah, middling pair. Does elect to make the call in position.
Yeah, these kind of middling pairs, they're just like very tough to play at this stacked pot ratio with ICM.
Yeah, I think something a lot of players may miss if they're less experienced is how much less value as the stacks are shallower those small and middling pairs are versus like a deep stack cash game, for example.
Yeah, for sure. And especially where doubling does not give you the value that busting. It's much worse to bust than it is good to double.
Cam with ace-10 suited, and he is going to rip it all in, and
This is also the problem with eights
Yeah.
is that you get there's some amount of time that you get squeezed and you just have to fold.
pretty close to a snap call by Nam, and Medi going to ask for a count, but I would imagine these eights are going to find their way back to Michael.
Yeah, this is definitely more on the aggressive side from Cam. Versus +1 and flat from the hijack, they should be pretty strong ranges. I will say though that if he would get this through, you know, he wins. Is it 5, 6, 6.5 big, something like that? Which at this point is a really big win.
As it stands, he's going to be heads up with Nam, needing a bit of help. Does have 32% equity. I think a lot of times when you're out there at the table and you don't have the benefit of graphics, people think they're much further ahead in these spots, but he is going to win a third of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when he wins, he has a bunch of chips.
Yeah, 2 million chip pot, biggest of the night so far, and we'll see a flop. and 10 in the window. Gut shot now for Nam. Any king or queen. And Nixon needs to fade 6 outs on the river, and he will be our chip leader. Does just that, improves to trips that he did not need, and Mixon, our new chip leader, aggressive move, pays off.
Yeah, real tough spot for Nam there. He, he's in a great spot to have have the chip lead, but nice run for him.
Such is variance in tournaments, right?
It really is.
So 8th place finish for Nam. Great showing, 26.90. We'll be ready for him at the cage.
And now I would expect Cam to put on a bunch of pressure to these, like Michael, the guys who have the 20 big blind stacks. And I will say, this is one of my pet peeves, is that the VPIPs at a tournament final table are about the most irrelevant thing you can imagine. Almost everything is dependent on stack size, position, and the action ahead of you. We saw Augie folds ace-jack to just an open, which is, definitely correct. It doesn't make him a nit. It just means that, like, in this, like, he would open probably jack 8 off on the button or whatever. That's just kind of how things go in tournaments, is you're very handcuffed by the stack size and the action around you.
Not going to lie, Bones, when I saw V-Pips pop up there, I cringed a little bit as well. Actually, that is selected at the time that the action tracker sees it, and we're going to be adjusting when certain graphics are shown. So,
okay.
yeah, as a raise and take it from Mixon with the super premium couple of kings. The rich get richer.
Hi, my name is asked if many can call there if they believe that 2 players are sharing an ace. I don't personally know how somebody could do that. I have always subscribed to the theory that you think about ranges, and Mixon, I would have no reason to believe that Mixon only has an ace and doesn't have 9s through aces also. Same with Nam. Nam can very easily have 9s through aces. I would say that's a little too sun-baked right now to the actual combinatorics, but if they both share, if they're both showing the ace, like, you're not getting it in that good, and you're just getting it in pretty dead a lot. So, especially with ICM, there's just like no reason to. I think it's saying something like that is basically coming up with an excuse on why you don't want to fold your hand. Which, like, if you want to do that, that's fine. Like, if it's your lucky hand, if you're just, you went to church and prayed and you believe that that's coming today, then, by all means.
Go right ahead.
If I was trying to come up with the right answer for a poker hand, that's probably not how I would go about coming to the decision.
This may be oversimplification, but I just would hate calling off 20 bigs versus 2 uncapped ranges with 2 8s. It just seems
so like maybe you
pretty
have some live tells, but like you're just dominated by one of them just an awful lot of the time.
Speaking of small middling pairs, Patrick with a couple of 6s going to raise up to 130K under the gun. Medi, Queen 6 suited, will make the call on the big blind. Heads up.
And Patrick sizes up here. He went 2.6. That's on the bigger side. I think that it gets pretty dicey for hands like Queen 6. I know you're suited, you have a high card, but it's pretty close when they size up.
Does flop a club flush draw, but 6s actually an overpair on the deuce 4 2 club flop. Medi will check over to Patrick. Patrick continues for 175K. 3.5 bigs. And what does Medi want to do here with all this equity? And he says play for all of it. And he's all in for 845. And Patrick going to ask for a count.
So I think they're in a lot of configurations. These low paired boards get check raised a lot. But given the stacks, you're just not going to be defending with that many deuces. So good for Patrick to make the call here. If they were, 40 or 50 big blinds deep, Medi's going to have a lot more deuces. Here he can end up with some overpairs that are pretty bad for Patrick, but also a lot of flush draws.
So we'll go to a run out. Medi looking for a club. 3 on the turn, no help.
5 to chop.
Just have 12 outs now on the river. And there's the club, and Medi going to win a 2 million chip pot. And Patrick down to 10 bigs after not being able to hold. Does make a nice call with the 6s.
I think that hand somewhat plays itself post-flop. It's a bit too difficult for Medi to check call there. Especially Patrick uses some bigger sizes. And, it's a huge win when he gets, ace 10 to fold or something like that. The goal of the check raise isn't to fold out over pairs. It's to fold out the overcards, and then when you get called, it's fine. When they have a pocket pair less than queens, you're 40, 42%, something like that.
Medi now second in chips with that pot. Just a touch over 2 million. Cam, of course, 2.3. And speaking of Cam, he's got the ladies.
Thank you.
It's always nice to get hot at this stage of the tournament.
Two X-rays in the hijack and folds to the small blind. And looks like no action for queens unless...
Yeah, he pitched it.
Yeah. 9 deuce finds the muck, and Mixon's going to pick up another pot, just under 2.5 million now in his stack.
Did you play this tournament?
I did not. I was not able to. I was out of town, but one of my favorite monthly tournaments here at TCH Social. Did you?
I did not.
No.
I did not. I taken a bit of a break from playing tournaments. So
Do you find that you're better if you kind of focus on one or the other so you can kind of be in tournament or cash mode, or is it more of just a different decision making?
I generally don't have a tournament mode anymore. I haven't played them seriously in a couple of years. But when I was playing them more, I tried to. I can't. It's very difficult for me to switch from tournaments to cash. And cash is it's how I make my living. So focusing on that and not spending days playing tournaments when I could be playing cash. Well, this is an interesting spot.
Yeah, hand developing. Mixon raises the 10-8 suited in the low jack. Jason rips it with 9s for 765, and then Augie in the cutoff wakes up with big slick.
Yeah, this is not an appealing spot. Especially, I believe he's second in chips. Second or third in chips. He definitely does not want to get it in against Mixon. Mixon's going to have some hands like 10s or queens that are going to call or flip, and it's not really what you're excited about with Augie. I think he would expect Jason to be on the tighter side, which would just be my read in general.
It's like he's just going to flat, I would assume, praying that Mixon folds behind.
Yeah, I don't think there is much reason to jam. I think a jam is basically the same as a call.
I agree with you. Questionable.
Call represents about half of Augie's remaining chips, and Mixon does fold, so we will be heads up in a big flip. 1.8 in the middle. Nines versus ace king. Jason's tournament life at risk.
Jason very happy to be in a flip here, given the action.
Queen, queen, 10, and more outs now for the ace king. And there, the king on the turn is going to put Jason nearly out the door. Needing a 9 on the river does not come, and Augie going to win a nice flip and just about match the chip lead, maybe edging out Cam at this point.
just by a little bit.
2.5 million.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for the rest of the players. Cam and Augie both have a ton of poker or tournament experience, and with them having the two biggest stacks, it's just going to be really tough for the others.
Jason going to leave us with $3,280. All these players now locking up 39.10, and the pay jumps begin to get steeper.
Yeah, so the people right now that have the most pressure on them are Mehdi through Randall. Mehdi, Michael, and Randall. Patrick, as the shortest stack, he basically has the least amount to lose. He has, 6.5 bigs, or 7 bigs. Like, he's going to bust anyway. He can pretty much play freely. The others are very incentivized to wait for him to bust. And Mehdi is very incentivized to wait for the shorter stacks to bust. Who he has, I think he has about 2x the other stacks.
7 and 8 both folds.
Mehdi raising the queen jack offsuit from the cutoff, folds around to the big blind, which is Michael with ace 4 off.
This is a tough spot. I think I would lean towards fold. Fold or all in, but probably fold. Against slightly big open, 2.4. There's just not a lot of room to call. Nice fold from Michael. A lot of people are very tempted to peel there. But off of that stack, was it 15 bigs? Like, you're just not flopping all that well very often. You definitely prefer to be all in or fold.
Do you tend to try to stick with a standard opening size, or do you vary it based on position, hand strength, etc.?
Hand strength, no. Pre-flop, I never vary anything on hand strength unless I have a read on someone in particular and I want to just exploit that. Like, there are times when I think people don't fold to 3-bets, and I'll just make it really fucking big. I'm sorry. Or there are times where I think people overfold, and I'll just make it really small based on my hand. If there are people who I think are going to read something into my bet sizing, then I choose a size, and that's. I will, if I think someone overfolds in the big blind, I'll make my open range raise smaller with my entire range, and if I think people, so the two things that you can adjust are the hands that you open and the raise size that you make. So if I think people are overfolding the big blind, then I will raise a wider range and go a bit smaller. If I think people are underfolding, then I'll play a slightly tighter range and I'll make it a little bit bigger. And by doing that, by playing tighter and making it bigger, I'm getting more money in the pot against someone who's widened their range such to where I think I can take advantage of it.
Yeah.
All right, one fold. Guys, anyone else need service while we got her?
Yeah, can I get an iced tea also?
Augie gonna take down the blinds and ante with a raise.
Can I get extra
Or
ice?
excuse me, just gets a walk in the big blind. First
Nice.
walk of the night.
I think that's a misconception at some lower stakes that people. I don't want to. Not necessarily a misconception, because people at lower stakes do play that way. That they try to. They put in a bet that is relative to their hand strength. Like, if someone has jacks, they'll just open to 10x or something like that, which is very easy to see through. But I think people tend to project that on to people playing higher stakes or people who have put in a bit more time into their game. And among people who work on their game, that's not really a thing unless it's to be like. let me see how I can say this.
Highly
I would
exploitive.
I would have to think very little of my opponent to do something that was very blatantly tells them what I have in my hand.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people kind of get caught up in
Last night.
quote unquote protecting your hand or whatever. And I just think there's a bunch of ways to do it that don't broadcast the strength of your hand. Because
Yeah.
poker is a game of incomplete information, and if you start to fill that information out for other people, it becomes a much easier game for them.
Yeah.
But if people aren't paying attention, then you just do whatever you want.
I love the example of the 10x raise with jacks. I've made some insane folds versus players
Yeah.
doing that. Feel very good about letting your 9s or 10s go,
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
what have you. While we're talking about things you see in low stakes tournaments, how about the old limp re-raise?
So, back in the day, it was exclusively aces. Now people throw some stuff in there.
Yeah, start to try to balance it.
See what Medi goes for here. Definitely get a 3-bet, and I would say probably 375?
275.
275 is really tiny. You really don't want Cam to play this hand.
7 folds.
Like, obviously you have a very strong hand, but you're going to be playing out of position against the covering stack, which is, like, just really sucks in tournament poker. Not that he sucks. I'm saying it's a very
tough spot.
it's a very tough
Yeah.
spot. I mean, even if you have aces, like, they can put a lot of pressure on you, and
Yeah.
there's just so much money to be made by not busting in the next 3. And Cam's gonna fold his like absolute worst hands here, but he gets such a good price to continue. Like if I was in Cam's spot, I would absolutely peel with Queen 9 suited here, expecting it to be against a strong range, but knowing that I'm going to be in position and I have a hand that flops well enough to where I can make some semi bluffs and put him in some tough spots when he doesn't have the nuts.
One makes it 675.
Or you can just induce that.
Yeah, Cam does re-raise. 675 is the 4-bet, and
First mixing, it sucks because of all the things that I just said, being against covering stack. But I would just be thrilled to be all in here with Ace King suited. But this kind of goes back to what I said earlier about Augie and Mixon having chips. Is they're both going to put you in some really tough spots. And he's going to call.
just a call from Medi. So we'll go heads up to a flop. 1.45 in the middle between two of the big stacks. And 7-5 tray, 2 hearts, not what either player was looking for. And now the situation you were describing, Bones, kind of transpiring here for Medi, sort of in no man's land with ace high out of position against a covering stack.
This is actually not bad for Mixon. I mean, yes, this is not a good board for his actual hand. But if you expect Medi to just ship in queens plus, like, he's just going to be really uncomfortable here. All those ace kings are going to fold. The hands like 9s and 10s. Like, if you have 9s or 10s here, like, this sucks.
C-bet from Mixon, 425.
With no backdoor flush draw, this is just a brutal spot for Medi. And this is kind of where Ace King benefits from being all in. And you could say that Ace King's a drawing hand or whatever, but it's so good to get to see all 5. And yes, it's drawing, but it's drawing to see all 5 cards. And when you're all in, you do not get outplayed. And this is one of those spots where you're playing against an aggressive player who's, I would imagine that Medi's played with Cam enough to know that he's capable of 4-bet bluffs there. And while it does suck to get in for a flip or whatever, you just win, what was it, 675, so you just win 800K right there without a showdown. And Ace King suited is just Ace King off and Ace King suited, just very, very nice hands to be all in with.
Mine makes it 175.
Mixon starting to separate himself a bit, over 3 million chips.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty tough for the
1, 5,
rest of the
and 6
field if
on
he's
folds.
getting away with that.
7 and 8 fold.
Raised to 175 by Michael, and that'll be good enough to take down the blinds and antes.
I will say that if you're going to slow play an ace king, you definitely prefer to do it with ace king suited rather than ace king off. Ace king off is the hand that like most wants to be all in, because with ace king suited, like you can flop flush draws, you can flop backdoor flush draws, you can kind of navigate some things. Ace king off is just wants to be all in and not have to make decisions post flop. See, Julia's in the box. I run insanely well when Julia's in the box on stream. So
Yeah, quite the run you've had on our cash streams.
big fan of Julia. Yeah, it's been a good month or so.
Julia also quite the player herself.
I've noticed her in playing around TCH.
Tough player. Works on her game, and one of the tougher opponents you'll see at one of the 1-2 cash tables or a tournament. All in from Randall. It's going to rip the ace-10 offsuit. Blind versus blind. And king-jack for Michael.
This is, in theory, it's a call, but I don't know that Randall's going to have the hands. Like, you want people to be shoving king 5 suited, jack 10 off, stuff like that. I would call this against almost anybody, but it definitely benefits when the small blind is shoving a lot of the kind of non-intuitive hands that you sometimes find in these ranges.
Call is made. We got a big 60-40, and ace-high still good after a 9-high flop. Looking for a king or a jack. It does not come, and Randall with the double up to 1.1 and change, and Michael going to be on fumes along with Patrick. Just 4 big blinds or so, touch under.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Patrick there.
We have gone up in stakes to 30-60K.
See, Mixon's got about 50, Augie's got about 40, Meddy's got 22, 23, Randall a bit under 20, and the others with 3 to 4 big blinds. Now Meddy has to just be really tight. And Randall as well. Queen 9 would be an open against in a lot of spots, but with Cam in the big blind, who is just going to be able to defend very wide. And so one thing that I've seen a lot of that I hadn't personally put into my game, but I've seen more of lately is in a spot like that where someone who has a kind of middling stack opens from outside the blinds and the big blind defends, who has a covering stack, they can lead a lot of boards and just put you in a really tough spot. They can defend almost, 80, 90% and then lead a lot of boards. And you're just going to be in a very uncomfortable spot because you're going to have to be thinking about stacking off against this uncapped range on, like, if the board comes out, 8-6-5, you can very easily have 7-4. So very easy call here for Augie.
Dominating ace wakes up in the big blind. Michael going to need some help in the form of a 7 or running clubs. And there's a 7. 10 or jack is what Augie's looking for. 480 in the middle. And the worst ace is running good at this table if he can fade the river, and does.
Well, he is.
And Michael up to just a touch under $500,000. A little bit more life, and no one rooting harder for Augie than Patrick.
Yeah.
Now alone is the short stack. Although Michael's still less than 10 bigs. Remind everybody what we're playing for. This is the Showdown at the Capitol, a monthly signature event, 100K guarantee. This was a $400 buy-in event. All these players locking up 39.10 at this point and 21.7 up top.
So there's a 2 buy-in pay jump here.
Mixing a C-Deucey on the button.
Would never expect Cam to fold this in a million years.
Does make the raise.
Then Medi's going to have to play really tight here out of the big blind. Yeah,
And
I would expect folds there from like some suited queens. Just because Mixon's shown himself willing to just like put a bunch of chips in the pot and make you make a tough decision. He did that with the ace-10 suited. He did it with queen-9 suited. Just a very tough player to play out of position when he's got you covered in ICM spots.
And a couple of stacks on virtual fumes.
Yep.
Randall, 6'5", goes in the muck under the gun. Couple of 9s for Mixon in the cutoff. Amanda Chang in chat. Good to see you here.
Hi,
Thanks for
Amanda.
hopping on.
Okay. Sean's going to put the rest in here. Yeah, he didn't really have a choice.
Yeah, big blind going to be all in with the king 5 suited. Looking for some help.
Definitely not a terrible hand to be all in with for 3 bigs.
There's a 5 in the window and a flush draw. Pair and a flush draw.
The pair is not all that relevant with top set.
Yeah, Oh, I totally missed the top set, Bones.
Yeah, I get
That's
it.
why I need a co-commentator.
Yeah.
I was so focused on the coming from behind, but yeah, the top set going to be taking this one down for Mixon, and he's going to add 500,000 chips to his stack, 3.58 now.
Yeah, pretty rough run out there for Patrick. The overpair didn't hold versus flush draw, and short stacks kept winning. So, pretty unfortunate, but that's tournaments.
Will leave us with 39.10. Everybody locking up 47.10, and next pay jump about $1,400.
I heard you guys discussing the luck distribution algorithm on the last
Yeah.
stream. It seems, I don't want to say random, but it's something.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's something also. It's directionally correct most of the time, I would say. But occasionally it's very, maybe a little hard to defend.
Yeah. I mean, the concept of luck in poker is so abstract. I mean, you can get aces versus kings, and, the aces is insanely lucky to have a hand that someone can have a hand that's willing to stack off against it. It doesn't. Let's pay attention to the action here.
Yeah, looks like we have an all-in from Michael. A couple of 6s, and Augie going to be making the call here with 2 4s. So Augie looking for some help, and that's another set. Caught it this time, and we're down to running hearts or fours and does not come, and that's a boat for Michael. So he's made quite the comeback after that blind versus blind loss to Randall, and relatively back in the mix with 930K. This is somewhat rhetorical, but for a longtime pro like yourself, how do you manage dealing with any feelings of being lucky or unlucky?
I think that is, I don't know. I am, at this point in my career, I am far more critical of my own play than I think about luck. Like, honestly, every session I play, I feel like I make a dozen mistakes. And if I lose some all-ins, then it doesn't change the fact that I've made all those mistakes. And I know that I can't do anything to affect my luck in the future, but I can do something about those mistakes in the future. So I just try to really focus in on working on how I approach poker, working on the spots that I think I mess up. And I think this is... So when you start playing poker, a huge way to get better is to talk to other people about poker. But the first people that you talk to about poker will almost always know nothing about poker. They will always be the people that you're playing with. And by definition, when you start playing, you're almost always in a big beginner game, right? You're almost always playing, small stakes sit and goes with your friends in college. You're playing, at the local 1-2 game. And you're kind of around people who have not developed good habits about how to think about poker. So the first people you talk to about poker, it's so key to not absorb their negativity and how they think about poker. As far as if you guys are just telling each other bad beat stories, you will never get good at poker.
The worst.
Not only is it annoying, but you cannot get good at poker if all you think about is, I had kings and someone had ace-3 off and they won. Who cares? Yes, it sucks in the moment, but it does not mean anything. It does not affect your next session. It honestly, it kind of affects the session that you play, but you still made a ton of mistakes, and it's so important to fix those mistakes rather than to think about the hands that you lost. It is beyond tilting to me when someone there's a local player, I won't name his name, but every time I see him, I'll be walking outside and be I'm like, hey man, how you doing? And he just tells me how he busted his last tournament. And I don't care.
Yeah.
Not only do I really not care, it's so unhealthy for you to just be dwelling on this, where you just have to get it off your chest. Where someone's asking about your life, and you're like, oh man, I just had jacks, and someone had king queen, lost a flip. Okay man, it's for me, just having friends that I can ask about poker, and they don't. And if I tell them a hand, they're not focused on oh, you ran really bad there, or they can say that, but only if I ask them hey, what do you think about this line? Do you think I'm always just kind of? Do you think they just kind of had it in this spot, or they just always have it, and I'm just running this bluff into someone who just has the nuts all the time? And I can ask them, and they can be oh, you just kind of got unlucky in the fact that they just had the nuts there, but there's going to be a lot of times where they don't have the nuts there.
Yeah.
But just being around people who, even if they're not the best poker players, who have some framework of thinking about poker and not thinking about luck-based things, is so critical for your development. And the sooner that you can get out of thinking in terms of, am I lucky or am I unlucky, the quicker that you will improve.
I couldn't agree more. And to segue off of the example of a bad beat story of losing with kings versus ace-3, you said that has no impact on your next session. Well, the only person that can make it have impact on your next session is you.
Yeah.
If you carry that with you and you have the attitude of, I run bad, or I've been running bad, or for me, it's also a tell if somebody sits down and maybe makes a comment of, I always run bad with this dealer, or I need to change seats. You're telling me what your attitude is about how you run poorly. You're generally often more bluffable when scare cards come.
Honestly, if someone tells me a bad beat story, I just I start to think they're mentally weak.
I agree.
Not in like
100%.
not in a bad way, but just like, okay, this person is so focused on the dealer, on how bad they've run with jacks in the last 2 weeks or whatever, that
Yeah.
they're not focused on playing well, and like they are not going to play their best against me.
Yeah,
And I promise you, like, I have whatever emotions people have gone through in the 20 years that I've been playing poker, like, I have felt those emotions. Even still, like, if I have a bunch of losing sessions and I lose a bunch of flips over the course of a few weeks, like, when I lose that first flip of the new session, like, I still feel it. I still feel the accumulation of all the other session losses that I've had. But, like, it's part of your job. Like, you play the cards in front of you, but you're also playing against other people and you're playing against your own mind. And, like, being able to play against yourself, so to speak, and being able to understand that, like, the cards are random. How I play is not random. I can't affect the cards that come out, but I can affect how I view this situation, how I approach things. And, emotion overrides logic in just about everything that we do as humans. So if you have to realize that in poker, if you're feeling that emotion, it's overriding the logic. It's overriding what you think you should do with this hand, because it's going to be defeated by, the last 3 times I've just flatted with jacks pre-flop, I've lost. So is this a flaw in my strategy? Or is this, am I just feeling unlucky? And, like, if it's not a flaw in your strategy, then you should probably flat jacks the next time that situation comes up. If you're feeling unlucky, you're going to be playing in a way that is opposite of what you believe to be correct. And, if you believe to be correct, the only reason that you should stray from that is that you no longer believe that to be correct based on logic, study, whatever, not based on your emotion.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Pot developing on the river here. We've got a pair of 10s, going to be good at Showdown if we get there for Augie.
Oh, I really like this.
And Medi going to go ahead and raise. Very scary board to make the call raised on the river with a pair of 10s, and does get the raised bluff through.
No, he just bet.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
we had a bet from Augie. We just
No.
checked. Yeah, so
So I know I was talking a lot there, but I kind of had an eye on it. And basically on that run out, an 8 is probably the worst hand that he's going to have. And in general, there's times where you get to a river and a good bluff candidate is usually the worst hand that you end up there with, just because it shows down for the least amount of the pot. I would expect that when he gets there with an 8, it's not going to win, almost ever. So may as well bluff with it.
Four card forever. Hey, Kenny, welcome to the stream.
Just imagine that you throw away your 2 worst cards.
And
It's just this game.
no rooting for Mixon in chat. Augie in the small blind. King Jack suited. Gonna raise it up.
So it looks like he is going to play some raises.
Medi will let the 9-10-0.
So I think it's important to note that, so obviously things change as stacks change, but we noticed Augie completed from the small blind earlier and then raised from the small blind. So now that you know that someone doesn't have like 100% lifting strategy or 100% like a raise or fold only strategy, now you can kind of mentally start to sort what are the hands that he's limping with, what are the hands that he's raising with, and how can I take advantage of that?
Is this a quietest final table? You played?
No extreme short
Quietest
stacks.
final table you played?
Got Michael with just over 700K at the 60K big blind level. It's down at 9-4 suited. That'll go back to Julia. Cameron, our chip leader, letting go of the 7-5. Medi, ace queen in the small blind. $190K is the raise. Over to Randall. Jack 5 goes immediately back to Julia.
Yeah, so he had about 15 bigs there. Yeah, you can. I would you can limp sometimes, the limp jam, but I would expect. I don't know anything about Randall's game, but I would generally assume that a lot of guys don't put in enough money when they can just check. And against those guys, I tend to just raise my good hands and not trap. You basically only want to trap when you have players who you know are going to put in money, enough money without being prompted to.
First rocket sighting, and Mixon's got him along with most of the chips. Under the gun raised to 130K. And tens for Medi. Could be a dicey spot for him. Cam's had some big hands, but those did not get shown down, and he's had some more speculative holdings that the table's actually seen. So we'll see how Medi wants to play two tens. What would be your approach here, Bones?
So it's kind of difficult without seeing the stacks behind. I would call here a fair amount. Because we know Cam is willing to 4-bet. And getting 4-bet here sucks so bad. What are they, 30 deep? Yeah. Like, you're getting it in, but you're not happy about it. And you're gonna bust a fair amount.
3-bet does come in to 320,000, and Mixon got to be licking his chops underneath the beard and the sweet closer hair.
Let's see. I would expect a 4-bet to. I think I would make it 600. So I generally pick sizes to where if I'm not all in, I pick a size to where I can fold to a jam with my range. So let's say that I have ace-10 off here. Then I still want to be able to fold if I 4-bet. So I'd pick something like 600,000, and then I can just happily jam, or I can just happily fold to a jam.
725.
It's only been 2 4-bets at the table, both from Mr. Mixon, and gets the jam from Medi, and Mixon gonna be way ahead here. By far, biggest spot of the night, just under 3.9 million.
And I don't think it's a bad play by Medi. Like as soon as you 3-bet, like you basically have to stack off, which is fine. And against Cam, it might even be good.
King 9-4, 2 clubs. Medi with the only club, so looking for a 10 or running clubs.
Can hit a queen.
Now a queen. 5 outs for Medi to continue his showdown at the Capitol does not come, and Mixon over 5.5 million chips with that win, and Medi tough spot there with 2 10s versus the aggressive chip leader. He will exit in 5th place, 47-10 for his efforts, and now all these players have locked up 6,110. And speaking of ICM, Michael's been a very short stack, probably pretty happy to have leveled up this many payout spots.
Absolutely.
With the exit of Medi, and Mixon in the driver's seat, to say the least, has way more than half the chips.
So Amanda, I just want to kind of touch on what Amanda is saying in chat. She thinks more about bad beat stories as far as being compelling and dramatized. I think that is, if you are looking at poker in a narrative form, I think that's very true, provided that they're told well. I mean, just like all storytelling, they're very dependent on the author or narrator. I was purely speaking as far as like if your goal is to get better at poker, I think they are mostly worthless.
Non-conducive.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean that they don't have value as far as entertainment goes, or bonding if that's your thing. But I tend to be a bit I guess more robotic in my thinking about poker rather than focusing on narratives.
All in a call. Couple of 4s versus King Queen of Mixon. Randall looking to hold and chip up to 1.8 million. And there's a king for Mixon. And Randall 1-4 is not available. Only one out.
Yep.
No help comes on the river, and Mixon bulldozing the table at this point up to 6.42 and has a sizable chip lead over his two remaining opponents. Nice run by Randall.
I'll take it.
And seems like we're putting these payouts up faster and faster, Bones. Randall going to exit with 61-10 and nearly a five-figure score for the three remaining players. 97-90 locked up. And I would say Michael, he's got to be just thrilled at how this has transpired. He's made several $1,000s without having to have all his chips at risk in the last few hands.
Absolutely. And again, this kind of goes to what I was talking about as far as the benefits of folding. Like, you can just kind of wait around and get in some good spots. And Mixon, you know, embracing the beard and the long hair. He's decided to run like Jesus today.
Right. As a former baseball player, every time I look at Mixon, I think he looks like somebody you call in the ninth from the bullpen, you know.
Yeah.
He's going to raise and take it here.
Somebody's going to run out to some ACD song.
Yeah,
AC/DC song.
yeah.
Yeah.
The lights go down and the rock music comes up.
Yeah.
Hopefully he throws about 99 to 100.
You see that guy who's throwing 105 now?
Yeah, Ben
Jesus.
Joyce.
Yeah. Goodness gracious.
Wild. Yeah.
And so now Mixon can put a ton of pressure on Augie, with Michael having 10 bigs and Augie having 25.
ACL in chat arguing that it's a hockey haircut. I can, you know, I'm too from Texas to call it that, but it would be a good hockey flow as well.
And he's got the playoff beard. Pizza Poker, I'm glad you're enjoying the commentary. I try to add a little bit of knowledge along with some jokes.
Augie King 5-0 in the small blind, just going to rip it on Michael, who looks down at 6 high. Unfortunately, going to have to fold his big blind and ante, cost him 120K.
Can you shuttle here? Just try on the button.
No, sir, only under the gun. Oh.
Not to get too far off on the hair and hockey thing, but there is a pretty hilarious video. The best hockey hair of Minnesota, I think it's called, on YouTube. If you're very bored and want to laugh, it's a good one. A lot of Mixon lookalikes.
I don't know if I'll make it to that break.
Michael, couple of 10s. A welcome sight. He's all in. Mixon in the big blind with 8 high.
660.
So I think this is a bit of I don't call it theatrics, but if he can convince Michael, okay, never mind.
Does make the call.
Oh,
Felt he was priced in. 2 connecting cards, and Michael in pretty good position for a double up. Would be just a touch under 1.4 if he can hold. And pretty safe board for the 2 10s.
Just take it.
And dead on the turn. And 10s will be good. Michael back in business with over 20 bigs.
What was the count? 660. Thank you.
Not a whole lot of damage to Mixon's armor. Still overwhelming chip leader. Actually has the advantage of 2 relatively equal stacks. Neither of them going to want to be exiting first, as the pay jumps now pretty meaningful, as they have been for the last few spots, over, well, what's that, around $5,500 or so?
Yeah.
Now 2 3s for Michael.
This is kind of an awkward hand. You definitely prefer to open high cards at this point, but I think these guys are going to give him and his opens plenty of respect. Yeah.
And they do give him some respect. King 6 folds, and Michael picks up his second pot in a row.
Thanks, Julian.
Do you play primarily cash games or tournaments?
On a percentage basis, I would say probably 96% cash.
Okay.
And I do enjoy tournaments. Actually, I started with tournaments online years ago. And then when I started playing live here, when I found out there was poker in Texas, I wandered over to TCH, the old location, and finished second in my first low stakes, weekly tournament.
Nice.
And pretty quickly found the cash streets were more juicy and consistent, as you called it.
Yeah.
And so primarily cash, but I definitely enjoy tournaments from time to time. To our earlier conversation, though, I kind of feel like there is sort of a mode that you can get in where it's more conducive to focusing on one or the other. But
Yeah. So it looks like Mixon is going to, I guess he's going to open every button now, which I think is a reasonable strategy.
I think we're obligated to say it's the Doyle. Michael all in with ace-9. Gets the quick fold from Mixon.
That's one way to combat someone opening every button. I like Michael's play today. He's playing well. He's made good decisions, laddered up.
Yeah, I mean, these spots don't come often, but I have to say if anybody is pretty, can feel somewhat relaxed and kind of feel like they have a free roll, it probably is Michael, having laddered all the way up to third place money.
Absolutely. And props to him. Like I said earlier, Mixon and Augie have both had a bunch of tournament success, and I have much respect for their game.
And now Michael with a couple of queens in the small blind.
That makes it 225.
Makes the raise to 225. And unfortunately, Mixon looks down at the dirty diaper. More so unfortunate for Michael, unless Mixon decides to make a move.
You can never rule it out with Mixon.
The wheels are turning under the hockey here.
Yeah.
He is going to elect to make the call.
So I think this is just him thinking that he's in position and he's going to have a lot of room to feel like he can outplay Michael.
Flops a decent piece. He's got a pair and a gutter.
Yeah, this is tricky because Michael doesn't seem like the kind of guy to just like have king queen off here and choose a big size. But this is definitely Mixon's board, and it's a board that he can raise a lot. But like he doesn't want to like stack off with it. Okay, he's gonna stack off with it. But like it's fine. He still has the 9 outs or whatever it is.
He's run well so far with 30% equity and going to be looking for a deuce, tray, or 5. Michael looking to come all the way back from short stack to a very playable 3.6 million if his queens can hold. 10 on the turn, no help for Mixon. Eight outs does not come, and Michael putting up quite the fight here late, up to 3.6 million, and he's right in it, nearly neck and neck with Mixon after that huge double up.
45.
Yeah, 45.
1 point.
I want to thank everybody who's hopped in the chat so far. Throw us a like. I try not to ask 20 times a stream, but if you could do it, subscribe to the channel. Kyle Frisbee here with you tonight, along with Bones. You know him from a lot of our latest cash streams and some commentary in the past. Good to have him back.
Don't we have to say that they won't see the rest of the stream unless we get like 100 likes?
Dude.
Are we like obligated to say that?
Oh, that's right. I completely
Guys,
forgot.
if we don't have
Bones.
100 likes, we're not going to show you who
We
wins.
turn it off as soon as heads up starts. Don't get to see a winner unless we have 100 likes. We'll be back with you on Wednesday for 2-5 cash match the stack at our usual time slot, 6 p.m. Central.
Can we just call that the Manny Show? It really is the Manny Show. He's definitely the headliner.
Yeah.
He definitely puts on a show every time, and I love playing with Manny. He's a blast to play with.
Absolutely. He was on the thumbnail last week for a reason, and he is in the lineup. So if you love watching Manny's creative play, he will be here Wednesday.
He gets off some pretty amazing needles that are they're genuine questions, but he'll do it like right after you lose a pot, and just like he got Dante last week. I couldn't take it.
I heard about it.
Yeah, he just like they're very kind of innocent sounding needles, but it's just like when you don't want to hear it. And like Dante made a big fold, and Manny's like, "Man, I would have called. What'd you have?" Wow. And like Dante like tables his hand, and Manny like asks him what he had, and like Manny starts telling him like what hand Manny had, and like, did you have? You know, King Nine's my favorite hand, and Dante has Queen Nine. He's just like sending Dante through the roof, and I was so happy to be in the middle of it. It's very innocent to it. It's not like they were things that I would say to needle somebody, but he's like a very like wholesome heart doing it.
Hard to defend against the wholesome needles.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dante making a big fold versus Aiden last Wednesday. Trip nines. Aiden also pulling off a monster bluff toward the end of the stream if you want to go back and watch some aggressive high stakes cash game action. And back to the tournament action. Big slick for Michael. Blind versus blind. Augie is called with the Jack 4 suited.
Did he make it 280? Yeah. This is not an exciting spot for Augie. You have a hand that like wants to continue, and you're getting a decent price, but you don't expect Michael to have a lot of bluff races there. And I'll say that I've been playing Aiden. I guess I've been playing with him for 3 weeks now. He's a ton of fun to play with. We've been playing shorthanded after all the streams, and he's a real nice kid and definitely willing to mix it up. So I've definitely enjoyed playing. I think we played till 3 one night after the stream, just like four-handed. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's been a great addition to the stream, and we'll be back also on Wednesday. He shared with me, you mentioned he's a nice kid, and in fact, I was not aware, but he shared with me he's not yet 21. So pretty amazing to be playing the stakes he's playing. I don't think he would mind. He's built a bankroll from playing online poker, and in a very short amount of time become
Not gonna complain.
quite the solid,
Yeah.
aggressive player.
I was playing three-handed with him and Evan,
But
and they informed me that they were both. I've been playing poker for a living longer than they've both been alive. So
Wow.
that was fun to hear.
Ace-10 suited here for Michael on the button. And been playing a pretty rock-solid, straightforward strategy. Going to raise it up.
Yeah, he's really been very solid.
Mixon now has him pipped with the ace-jack of hearts. These are the two big stacks.
Yeah, this is an interesting spot. Let's see what Michael thinks of Mixon's 3-bet range. Because Cam has definitely been blasting off.
Start with
I
like
don't know.
3.7-ish probably.
Some of it's been shown down, some of it hasn't.
675.
3-bet does come in to 675. Michael pretty quickly reaching for calling chips, and he's going to go ahead and see a flop in position. And 1.5 already in the middle.
And this is just amazing for Augie. He's just thrilled when these two go to war.
Ooh, and ace high flop along with a couple of fives, and this is big trouble for Michael.
It'll be interesting to see if Cam. So I kind of like when I see stuff like this, I kind of think ahead a little bit. I would imagine Cam's going to bet the flop, bet the turn, and then if it bricks out, I'd be interested to see if he goes for value and if Michael calls. Oh, he's going to make a raise. And I don't know if Cam thinks that Michael's the type to 4-bet ace-queen. If I were in Mixon's shoes, that would be the hand that I was worried about the most. I would expect almost everybody to 4-bet ace-king, but sometimes they don't. You don't expect him to have any fives in his range, or many fives. And you'd expect him to have maybe ace-5 suited, but you block ace-5 of hearts, so that leaves only ace-5 of spades.
Cam does make the call of the raise. Turn is a king, and
It brings a flush draw, and so you're chopping with ace-queen now, which is nice. I think Cam can just call it down.
yeah, Michael bets,
Really big.
yeah, huge, 1.2 million, only 935
Yeah, and
behind.
that flop raise kind of locked him into the sand. And he's gonna. It's not a total free roll. Mixon can still catch the jack of clubs or jack of heart or jack of spades. But if they get it in here, Michael's gonna have a lot of outs. Or I guess he can catch a king as well.
All in from Mixon. He's going to ask for the rest. Michael calls it off, and big river card upcoming, 7.5 in the middle, and where is Augie? This could be a dream for him.
Yep, he doesn't really care who wins this one.
Yeah, it's a dream already, right?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's not a chop, Augie's happy.
River is 3 of spades,
And Augie's miserable.
and Augie back to same spot he was, just
Nice hand.
chopping up the blinds.
Definitely an interesting post-flop spot.
Augie's still away from the table. I'm wondering if maybe we were approaching a break. If we do have a break, we will fast forward back to the action. So,
He might be just off stream at the bar.
oh, here he is.
Face river.
Yeah, up, good up.
Yeah, that king saved me.
You watch any of the
Yeah,
WSOP
and it
coverage
gave you-
this summer out in Vegas?
Not only did it save you, it gave you.
I
an
watched
opportunity.
I watched some of the 250K, and I watched a little bit of the PPC. I'm not much for watching. Like, I watched the main event, but I'm not much for watching. I don't know how to say this. I don't think final tables are terribly interesting. They're like, it's interesting as far as drama goes, but I think people are so handcuffed by ICM, especially like elite players who understand it, that there's not a ton of creative stuff that goes on. But I just I don't find. Again, I'm very robotic. I watch the streams to try to improve my own game, and I don't find like watching the Millionaire Maker final table like terribly interesting, but I do enjoy watching like the 250K, the PPC. I have a beginner's understanding of all the games, but I enjoy kind of if you get to listen to like Shulman,
Yeah,
or
the
like
best.
Livingston, people who are like very very good at not only playing the game but explaining it. I find those are just like amazing learning opportunities, and I try to take advantage of those. But I'm not much for watching like the final table of the Colossus. But I totally get the entertainment. No shade to anybody who enjoys it. It's just not my cup of tea. But this is compelling stuff, and everybody should tune in every week. It's also nice when you know the people,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and like when you have a rooting interest, it's really fun.
7 of hearts.
Yeah, of course, a lot of people in chat, and obviously you and I know Mixon quite well.
Yeah, and I
And-
always want to see Cam do well. And
Mixon gonna limp the small blind. Augie, Jack 7 will check his option. Nine, 4 tray, 2 hearts, top pair for Mr. Mixon. Gonna lean on the short stack. Bet and take it.
how about you? What are your poker watches?
Yeah, it's relatively similar. For the drama, I do like to kind of, I'll tune in for a bit, maybe for the Millionaire Maker type stuff as it comes to a close. The excitement of if somebody's winning a life-changing amount of money is got. But if I'm going to sit and really, I'm also coming from the same approach of I want to try to pick up something to improve my
Yeah.
game. So watching things like the 250K and watching Foxen and Mateos and
Yeah.
those guys navigate, especially depending on who's doing the commentary. If I love it when they're really trying to get in the players' heads and what they're thinking in certain spots, and of course, love it or hate it, there's quite a bit of tanking, and so they have plenty of time for analysis in every street.
Yeah, well, those ones actually have shot clocks. Like in the high rollers, they have shot clocks. It's like the Millionaire Maker where there's no shot clock, where you'll just
longer
have like
tanks,
a 4 or
yeah.
5 minute decision. Which like, I understand that people are trying to like fill the void or whatever just by talking to talk, but like that was me. I think the commentators have a lot to do with it, and I'll listen to Shulman call just about anything. I think he's
I'm with if,
he and Ali are incredible, not only hilarious but
I agree.
have a ton of insight.
Yeah, I have to say, Shulman, he's got the voice, the resume, the sense of humor, all that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of an unfair package in a commentator.
It really is. He's incredible.
Mixon gonna bet the queen deuce suited on a 10 high flop here. Michael 2 overs with his king queen will make the call.
Nice. I like this peel. Been very impressed with Michael's play.
He's gonna turn a few more outs. Well, actually, already ahead with the king high, but
Yeah.
could get the jack for a straight. Checks over to Mixon.
He turned a reason to continue.
Mixon gonna slow down and check. River's a 6, and king high gonna be good at showdown for Michael if we can get there.
This would be how we talked about earlier, the worst hand you would end up at Showdown with. This would probably be the worst hand that I ended up at Showdown with. Queen Jack, I would also have. But I'm going to have a lot of hands with an 8 in it. I can have 10-8, 9-8, 7-8. I can have some 2 pairs. This would be the hand that I would probably choose to bluff. Because like you're just going to have a bunch of hands that are better check calls.
Sizable bet here from Mixon, 750K, and
Yeah, he's really going to try to rep an 8 that decided to not bet the turn.
pretty quick fold from Michaels.
Yeah.
Mixon going to separate himself a bit here now, leading Michael by 1.5. So I talked a little bit about how I ended up playing at TCH from online tournaments. And you've mentioned, of course, that you've been a poker pro for over 20 years. What was the beginning for Bones?
I think the real beginning was I played some free rolls on Paradise Poker. I'd seen like the Moneymaker on TV. I was in bookstores all the time, and I was in like the sports section and the gambling section, and I think I was looking for a book on gin, and I saw Hold'em for advanced players. I think it's Augie Shoving.
Yeah, all in with
Yeah.
the Queen 10-0.
About 15 bigs. That's good.
Michael looks down at 7 high. Return to sender, and
Yeah.
Mixon with just 8 high.
So I found Hold'em for advanced players, which is a book on limit Hold'em, and I tried to apply that to no limit sit and goes online. It didn't go well, but I deposited on Party, played on Party till UIGEA, which is in 2006. I played exclusively cash games on Party, or no, exclusively sit and goes on Party. I moved to Full Tilt and played heads up, sit and goes, and a little bit of six max. Then I got on a Euro site that my friend got me on and started playing some heads up. And I played heads up from 2009 until Black Friday in 2011 exclusively. Played a bit of like six max and PLO, but mostly just heads up for those years. Black Friday happened. I had moved to Austin in 2010. I knew 2 people. I had a buddy who knew someone who was in a home game. I went to the home game. I met a lot of people listening, No Boots, local pro here forever. Met him and some other friends. We immediately became close friends. I started playing home games around town. And then I was hesitant to play when TCH opened. I thought that it was in a kind of sketchy area,
Should find a pickle.
and there was one security guy, and he was always
back,
asleep
back to
in the
back,
parking
final
lot in a
table.
truck. So I was pretty sketched out by it. But I played a little bit here and there. And then when TCH opened up in the one that's across the street, I played a lot there. And then I mostly play home games now, but I still play the stream. I still play, some 2-5 here and there. Here in the other place. And that's pretty much what I do now for poker.
I always I admire heads-up specialists because even though when I play online, I'm multi-table, so you pretty much don't really have downtime. When you're playing heads-up, you truly have zero downtime for your. You have to be.
You have all the
completely
downtime, and then you have
focused.
none. Yeah. I would just open up 3 sites and then have probably 12 to 16 tables open. And sometimes I would go hunting for games, and then sometimes I would just wait. And then back then it was kind of a pain in the ass to get people to play you. So I would sit around and wait, or I'd go find games. If I couldn't have someone play, I would just watch The Wire or play video games or something. And then someone sits, and sometimes they sit on multiple tables. So you go from you're just bored out of your mind, and then maybe you're just 3-tabling someone heads up, 5 minutes later, and you just don't do anything. You don't go to the bathroom. You don't do anything for 8 hours while the action's going. It was definitely a lifestyle.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. But back then, it was like it was cool because games ran all the time. Like if you wanted to play something, you can always play it. But there, I could not always play what I wanted to play, so I was kind of waiting around for action, and then just playing until that action ran out, or I just decided that I couldn't take it anymore.
Quick reminder here, all these players have locked up 97.90, 21.7 up top, so still a lot of money at stake. Of course, these top 3 spots. Yeah, I guess the one downside I've thought of, if you're a heads-up specialist, kind of tough to find people to play you heads-up live, right? If you have that skill.
It's been, I haven't played a heads-up match in forever. I can't even imagine how rusty I would be. I played pre-solvers, so my heads-up game was basically just finding a mistake that someone makes and then just trying to have them make that mistake as often as possible. And when people study, they kind of eliminate some of those mistakes. So I do not have the framework that a lot of heads-up pros have. I kind of just have the way that I learned how to play poker was basically like if you see someone make a mistake, understand how to counter that. And to me, that's always just how I approach poker. So if I think someone's opening too wide, I 3-bet more. If they play poorly post flop, I call more. If they don't defend their big blind, like I used the example earlier, I raise it more. I choose smaller sizings, whatever. Just finding something that I thought was a mistake, but with the advent of solvers, it helped me understand like what that mistake actually was. There were times where I thought someone was being too aggressive, but in reality, that was just the right way to play, and I was just playing poorly. I think now with ways to identify mistakes, whether they're solvers, whether they're watching training videos, whether they're watching streams, and finding like whoever you think is the best player, kind of trying to mimic their play and trying to understand like how they play. There are a few people who I really, really enjoy watching on stream, and I try to understand what they're thinking and how they approach the game, and try to use my own brain to think like, okay, what do I think? He's making this move against this person. What do I think the mistake that person is making, and why is the player that I think is really good, why is he choosing this line? Those are the things that I try to get out of streams.
All in from Augie with King 6 suited. Michael takes a moment to fold the 9 high. Maybe just trying to not let Augie think he can just abuse his big blind.
Yeah, I think you kind of every once in a while want to give someone a little, just give them a thought, like let them think like, hey, I'm not just snap folding these. I'm looking for a spot to call you.
Looks like we have racks out. Appears there will be a color up coming from Josh, the tournament director, along with, I presume, a break very shortly. So
Some odd number of chips. You're a pro, though.
in the meantime, all in by Augie with the ace deuce suited. And 2 quick folds will conclude that hand. He's up to 1.63 and not a negligible stack. Can definitely put a big wound on either the big stacks in Michael or Mixon.
I think Augie is choosing some good hands to be all in with for about 15 bigs. Hands that don't necessarily want to get called. They can't really call off a jam if you just open small.
Sounds like in the background that might be the beginning of the break that we predicted. Race for Michael gets called by Mixon's 10-8 suited. Michael with the better 10. And 8-high flop is going to put Mixon square in the lead and now turns a flush draw to boot.
So we see that Michael didn't c-bet this board, which I think is fine. But just something to keep in mind that his c-bets, he's not the type to just auto c-bet these low boards. And so he has the Queen of Clubs and 10 of Hearts. He has the front door flush blocker and the back door flush blocker. Those are the ones that I would kind of prioritize betting because they end up making the best bluffs on later streets. But you definitely don't have to fire him on the low boards.
It looks like we will move to a break, folks. In just a moment, we'll do a little time travel and be back to the action. In the meantime, for a moment, going to take a little commentator break. Appreciate all of you who have joined us thus far. This is Kyle Frisbee, joined by Bones here in Austin. It's the Showdown at the Capitol. Here's your payouts, and we'll be back to the action here in just a moment.
I hope it's I mean, it says 8, but it's supposed to be 5, but it's probably fine. We'll probably. It still says 8 minute. It said 5-minute break, but it was actually it's 10 basically. I need the break anyway, so I don't keep. Yeah. I did it on that one.
Hey, what's the scoop? Small, big, button.
So
Ready to rock?
Yep.
All right, let's do it. 50, 100, and 100.
How much did you start with? 3.5? 2.8? Yeah.
And hopping right back into the action, Mixon with the suited Robbie, raising it to 225. Gets a call from Michael with King Jack, and he's going to flop an open ender on Queen 10 tray.
Nixon's got to handle some backdoors here. I expect him to bet this one.
Nice of Mixon to scoot around so we get a better camera angle. Does bet 125. Quick call from Michael. 5 of hearts on the turn. Quick check from Michael. Nixon slows down and checks. River is a 3, and King Jack high going to be good if we were to get to showdown. And here's the lead you talked about, Bones, from Michael. He's going to go ahead and bluff the river, 225.
Yeah, he can have some worse hands here. I think it's a fine hand to bet. I don't know what Mixon's doing with his ace highs. I would expect him to not fold a pair there. But, yeah, that's good. I mean, you want to have bluffs. I'm a big believer that unless someone has shown you that they are just never folding, never folding is such a strong thing that you need to have like an ironclad read. But like I like to have bluffs in every range or in every line, in every situation. If I'm ever going to have a raise or a bet, I would like to have a bluff that accompanies it. And how you sort your bluffs is kind of up to you. You know, whether you want to go with blockers, whether you want to go with like whatever the lowest hand in your range is, whatever you want to go with, like just what you're comfortable with. Like, I think that's fine, and I'm glad that Michael chose to bluff there.
Yeah, and of course he was bluffing with the best hand, but if he doesn't bluff, it's pretty likely Mixon has a great shot at taking it away if he's checked too.
Definitely, and you know, there's some benefit in that.
Michael now back at it with the ace tray and raises it to 275.
This is a hand where you can consider 3-betting. Nice. See if he goes for it here. It doesn't even have to be that big. It can just be like 650.
He's going to lay it down. Michael will pick up another pot up to 3 million. Augie being pretty patient. He's still got 1.4 and change, 14 bigs. Of course, blind levels do go up after the break, 50, 100K.
So I took option 3, which
See William Lottie in chat. Happy Sunday. Catch William Lottie on our stream frequently. He's out in Vegas at the moment. Good luck out there, sir.
Lottie, I hope you didn't take offense to my bad beat rant earlier.
Lottie famously has his favorite hand is ace queen. Does have one of my favorite quotes for a hand like that though. If I have it, you win. If you have it, you win. Something very close to that, Lottie.
Yeah.
All the players locking up 97.90. We're playing for 21.7. This was a $400 buy-in. Of course, a trophy event, the Showdown at the Capitol, every month here at TCH Social in Austin. 100K guarantee. Mixon with the king queen off on the button. He'll make a raise. 225 the choice.
Seems like a pretty natural defend here.
Michael does just that, and we're going to see a flop heads up. 5-6 deuce, couple of spades.
This is a spot you can consider leading with the Queen of Spades. You're going to have a few more of these low card, straight kind of two pairs than mixing well. Although the ranges aren't so different button versus big blind to where you're just going to have like an overwhelmingly strong advantage on this board.
Checks through on the flop, and Michael checks the turn now, mixing action on him, having been checked to twice, and he's going to go ahead and wager 425.
Yeah, I think when Michael shows no interest in betting the turn, I think a lot of people would just auto check the flop, but whenever they check the turn as well, he's just like not going to have a 6, not going to have a 5, not going to have an overpair that kind of slow played, not going to have a straight. I would imagine that he's kind of capped at a deuce, and you can probably get that to fold by the river. Maybe some flush draws, but you can still get them to fold.
See Susie hopping in chat. Hey, you, back at you, whether that was for me or not.
If the girls are here, they're probably here for Lottie.
Obviously. Yeah, the WSOP ladies event, I believe, final tables tonight. Austin Pro, Caitlin Comiskey at that final table. Good luck to her.
She is. Good luck.
Augie kind of steadily getting eaten away at by the blinds and big blind Annie. Down to 11 bigs and change, just a touch under 12 actually.
You a basketball guy?
In terms of being a fan of pro, etc. Yeah, I'm a Spurs fan.
Okay,
For
so
life.
So yesterday, a couple of friends and I were talking. Caitlin was wearing a Phoenix Suns jersey. Who would be your first guess as which player it would be?
Well, I mean, Barkley.
I cannot come up with a reasonable guess.
Who was it?
It was Durant, which is like it's like the most obvious guess. Like in retrospect, it's the most obvious guess. But yeah, because I could only see like not the number, not the name, just the side of it, and we were guessing like who would be your first guess as to who Caitlin would be wearing a jersey of.
I guess my read was bad. I thought the way you asked that, it was like something slightly outside the box.
Oh, no, it was...
No, it was the most obvious.
Yeah, it was the most obvious in retrospect.
Well, Augie has been chipping down, and now he's got Cowboys in the small blind. We'll see if he can get any additional value.
So this is interesting because he's been jamming these 12 to 15 big blind spots, and he does not want to jam 11 here. Basically because he wants to get played back at. And
yeah,
if I would imagine that he's jamming those spots thinking that Michael is going to overfold to them. So if someone's overfolding, you definitely don't want to be jamming a hand as strong as kings. But it kind of sucks in that you're showing them that something is different about this hand.
So what, in the end, what would be your choice on that stack size in that spot?
I would probably still do something like that.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of have to, right? Just give yourself a chance, even though you're sort of
like
telegraphing what you have.
So, like, this hand is a very natural shove for him.
I wouldn't doubt it, dude. That dude never
but,
takes
like,
anybody.
I just have to just hope that, like, he either is not paying attention or, like, has a hand that just, like, he's just going to go with anyways.
Augie all in with the ace-8 of spades, and that'll be good enough to take down another pot, and he's up to 1.6.
So I had this like a super similar spot. It was at the final two tables of the Lodge main like 3 years ago.
That was the best.
Like 13 or 14 left, and I had been playing my entire range as a limp from the small blind against a very, very good, much better than me, poker player. And I had a spot where he saw that I limped queens, and then I had kings and in a similar spot where, like, I think in theory, kings are like one of the, you can have a mostly limping range, and kings are one of the few hands that can raise. And I end up just limping it. He has sixes, and just like sees through my soul and checks back.
Wow.
And had I raised, like, it's a much better hand to jam than call.
I know, right?
And he just kind of owned me on that one, and I was very sad when I found out. Because, like, I was flipping my entire range, and we had probably played, like, 5 small blind versus big blind pots. So where, like, I have, 10-2 suited.
Oh, trust me, I
I
already
have,
have
whatever,
mentally.
ace-2 off or whatever. Hands that, like, he can easily jam over. And then I happen to have kings, and he just, like, sees through my soul.
Obviously, you're no obligation to name the player, but I'm curious, was this a local player or an out-of-towner?
Andrew
Moreno?
Ostapachenko?
No?
No.
Okay.
Like, very, very good.
Yeah.
I only kind of knew of him at the time, and then since then I've seen him just have amazing results, and he plays, like, 25Ks and stuff, and it's much, much better than me. And just kind of owned me in that spot.
All in, we'll take it down for Augie. Maintaining 1.6 and change.
But, like, in the moment, like, I wanted to raise, but I thought that I had played all of my hands so far as a limp, and I didn't want to, like, make this look out of place. But I had wished that I had thrown at least one raise in there earlier, because if I had, it wouldn't just look so crazy.
Mixon
Gotta
with
walk in that
Cowboys of his own, and he'll just take down the blinds.
I like-
Three-handed here, we
I
haven't
like
really
never
had
look
two
when
players
Canada's
with
funny, and three-handed, I'm like, whatever, I'll look.
Play those horrible.
a
Yeah, but
premium,
that's terrible.
or
I
at
got the
least
minimum.
two strong hands to face off, so
What I get?
A
I
lot
got
of raise and
50K.
take it.
Oh my god. The blinds are 100K and I only got 50K with kings. Yes.
A6 suited for Mixon in the small blind. We'll raise it up 350, and Augie looks down at two cards that are headed back to Julia. Jack 6.
Yeah, these kind of spots where you're very close to someone being all in and having a big swing in the prize pool, but they can be kind of boring, especially if a couple of the players are a bit on the tighter side and they're passing up a few opens. You're just
I
gonna
was
get a
supposed
bunch
to go
of
with
blocks.
them, and I didn't show up.
Yeah, he wasn't with us.
Wow. Now
He was
queens
there.
for
I
Mixon.
got too fucked up the day before.
Had a rush of premiums early in this final table. Got
Yeah, I
him
played
the stack that
terrible
he
that
has
day. It
now,
was
and follows up the kings with the ladies, and see if Michael has
reschedule again, though.
anything to defend
Yeah,
in the
once
big
it's not
blind.
That hot.
1,000 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does not. Mystery hand at this moment.
Early
We'll
on.
see it in a second.
Yeah, earlier in the day. Would
Yeah,
be
early in the day.
fine, and
Going back to the bad beat or just kind of general attitudes at the poker table, one thing you definitely did not see Mixon do is any kind of huffy puffiness that you'll see people do when they don't get
Probably
action
the,
with their big
like,
hands.
couple years,
Yeah.
probably.
Just stacks his chips, acts like he stole the blinds, or
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
just general. Generally, a good idea not to be the person that
It also
telegraphs it.
Yeah, and it also helps when you chip leading three-handed.
Right.
You,
That's true.
things have gone pretty well that day.
Mixing a multiple-time circuit ring winner.
I keep
It always
getting
makes
the
me
same
laugh when I hear
hands
people
where-
complaining at the final table of a tournament. Like, I don't think you realize how good you've run to outlast.
Just to be here, yeah.
Even if it's
Right?
200 people
Yeah,
or
they'll-
5,000
that might be a-
people,
that
like,
might have been a
you're one of the
the,
luckiest
let me rescan my
5%.
cards
No
and
matter what
raise.
you think,
No, she told me
you have got the best card distribution and the best spots can come your way in this tournament. Fucking relax.
Well, and I think actually that also enhances to the point about being more critical of your own mistakes than how you run, is because you do have to get relatively lucky or good card distribution or however you want to word it
Surprisingly,
to
I didn't
get
have
to
the
these
hand that
spots.
he
Making a
felt
big
like
mistake
wasn't
as
very good.
in those kind of rare opportunities just can sting a bit
Not
more,
worse than
to say the
it-
least.
It drives me crazy when I have like a really good spot and I fuck it up. Like it just those are the ones that
Yeah, I
get me.
told
Like
you
I
that
don't
earlier this week.
like losing a big flip deep in something. Like I don't really care.
Yeah.
But if I've just like sun run and like this is my moment to just like get to the final table with like a massive chip lead and I just screw it up. Those are the ones that like eat at me. And like if I'm playing a cash game and I just get this amazing spot that comes up and I just like mess it up. Those are the ones that kind of bother me the most.
I did that in my last cash session. Should have got a lot more value with a big hand, so I know exactly what
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
talking about. Actually, that brings up a good point to explore with a pro like yourself. What is your strategy around like a stop loss or just recognizing maybe if you've taken a beating with some coolers or some bad runouts,
I
limiting your losses or potential losses?
So I think I'm very sensitive to how well I'm playing, and if I'm not playing well, so if I'm not happy at the table, I'm not playing well. Like I have to be enjoying myself, otherwise, I'm just like I'm making mistakes. So if I'm unhappy at the table, and I think that I'm not going to get out of it,
Almost the hand that
and
I've been getting every time.
sometimes the game is just too good, and I'll just stay. But if the game, I'm also, I should phrase this, I do not care in a session if I'm winning or losing. Like it makes zero difference to me. I don't leave when I'm winning. I don't stay when I'm losing. I don't care. What matters to me is if the game is good and I'm playing well. So if the game is not good and I'm not playing well, then I'll leave. If the game is really good and I'm not playing well, I'll try to do something to just like reset my mind. Whether it is walk outside, whether it is to listen to a few songs that I like, whether it's just to like clear my head, I'll try to reset it and get back in there. If I'm not playing well, if I'm playing well and the game is good, then I'll just stay until one of those two things changes.
What about?
But I'm also like, I generally don't play games that it would hurt me financially to lose.
Right.
So like there's obviously times where I end up in that spot where it doesn't hurt me financially, but it's just like, okay, I don't want to lose X amount of money today. Where X is like an amount of money to where I need to do something extra to access that money to pay it off or whatever. I try to not be in those spots because it's so hard to play poker well when the money means something to you. Looks like Cam is limping the button here.
Yeah, and Michael waking up with a couple of jacks in the big blind.
Yeah.
Decent number of chips already in the middle.
Yeah, I would expect him, just to raise and take it here. Yeah, I think part of so much of people's losses comes from tilting when they're losing and chasing things and staying in bad games, staying in games where they're losing, and it's so hard when you have either an amount of pride or amount of your self-worth and how well you play poker to admit that you're losing in a game. And there's definitely times where like I'll look around and I'll be like, you know what, I don't think I'm winning in this game. And I think it's important, like if you've already accepted that, if you're accepting like I'm not winning in this game, but I'm either having fun or I'm learning. Like if you want to keep playing, like by all means play. Like if you're not there, I approach how I'm speaking right now is when my goal is to make money at poker. If your goal is not to make money at poker, if your goal is to like have fun, play, if you make money, great. If not, that's like you're going to the movies, you're going to the game. Yeah. Like as long as you're having fun and as long as you're enjoying it, stay. And I think that also applies to like if you're trying to make money, but if you're miserable, like just leave, man.
Right.
If your goal is to be if your game goal is to at that game make money, and you feel like you're not playing well, like do something to change it, because there are so many people who like they play fine, and when they start to lose, that's when it just goes off the rail. But I think the what's the phrase, like, eat like a bird, shit like an elephant, something like that, where like you book these small wins, and then when you lose, everything's just off the
Right,
rails.
right. You,
Like, I think if you're one of those people, it's very important to, if you have to set a stop loss, set the stop loss. If you have to set an, okay, we'll take a look at this hand.
we'll get back to bankroll management in one moment. We got a heads up confrontation here. Augie versus Michael. Jack high flop. King high good for Augie at the turn.
I think this is a hand that Augie definitely wants to lead.
Does just that.
This is a tough hand for Michael to continue.
Goes small, and that'll be good enough to take it down. Did have the best hand and a gut shot. Augie will chip up over 2.1 million.
That's one of the few times that we've seen a big blind defend there. It's mostly been raise and take it.
You mentioned something just quickly I want to revisit about, if you're not in a great game. I think that especially applies if you play lower stakes than I know you. There's only so many games at the stakes that you generally play, around town. But if you're a 1-2 or 2-5 player, particularly a 1-2,
change
the
tables.
disparity between 1-1-2 table in Austin versus another can be massive. If you're sitting with a bunch of strong 1-2 players, just don't be too prideful to switch tables. Your bankroll will thank you. We got a raise from Augie with Queen Jack suited, 275.
Yeah. Definitely with 1-2. If you're in a 1-2 game and you're not having fun, go to a different table. That's fine.
What is your, you mentioned taking a break and listen to music when you're, obviously we see you when you're on stream, and of course we don't allow earbuds or anything like that, but do you ever listen to music at the table, or are you trying to pick up on things from other players? Or
So I play a lot of home games, and you just can't really do that.
it's more of a social
Yeah.
environment, right?
Honestly, because of cheating and because of the social aspect, people just aren't allowed to wear headphones. But if I'm playing in a public card room, then I'll if I know the people, I'll try to be social, and I'll have maybe one earbud in. If I don't know the people and I just want to zone out, then I'll just listen to music. Or if I know the people, I might just go outside and just listen to a few songs, or just something to get my mind off of how badly the session is going.
Here's your favorite graphic, luck distribution. Mixin. Still at the top.
Michael three-handed, but has zero luck. He's been passing on some of these kind of close button opens.
Yeah, Jack 9-0 this time, and gonna pass again. It is now the short stack. So Augie has chipped up of late, and Mixin with ace 10 will raise from the small blind. And couple of fours for Augie. 550 already in this pot.
This seems like he's counting down Michael to see. Right now, Augie's trying to think if he wants to try to outlast the button, Michael. This is just, to me, the clearest jam ever. It plays poorly post-flop. It does not... You do not gain that much by being in position post-flop. I would just be all in. Yeah, and Augie's a good player. He kind of realizes that.
Does ship it, and Cameron immediately asks for a count. Julia, going to count it down.
So this is... Cam is trying to think, does Augie have the suited wheels, aces? Does Augie have king 10, queen 10, jack 10? He does not want to isolate himself against just pairs and better aces. I think it's close. There's a bunch of people that I would just call this off with and be happy, but it kind of sucks because right now you're in such good chip position. If you fold, it's fine. You still have Augie covered by 15 bigs and Michael covered by 30 bigs or so.
Yeah, for the reason you mentioned, I think I just personal, I would probably lean fold here just because I would just value having the 4.4 million.
Yeah, and
So
you kind of
much.
lose your leverage over
Yeah.
the other two because right now, like, you can kind of count on Augie making some tight folds because he wants to outlast Michael. I would call with ace queen for sure, and ace jack I would probably call, but I think it's kind of close. A nice fold there, or a nice jam by Augie.
Can't wait to see
The small
that.
pairs do very well, just being all in and not trying to guess post flop. You know, on a queen 9-6 board, like, what are you doing? You're just holding, and you know, Mixon probably c bets that board 100% of the time. So you just lose a lot of times when you have the best hand.
yeah, Augie was not very long ago down to about 11 bigs, and he is closing in.
Yeah, he's doubled up without a showdown.
Mixing 8-6 suited, gonna keep applying pressure from the button. 275. Augie 6 high finds the muck, and Michael with 10-5 off. Let it go. Mixon picks up another pot.
Yeah, Michael is kind of getting whittled down a bit, which is definitely frustrating when you're three-handed. You know, you're paying, what is it?
250.
250
Yeah.
in every three hands. You know, if you go card dead for 10 hands, you know, you lost half your stack. And this is, I would be all in here.
Suited king in the small blind, sitting on 12 bigs, and
Makes it 275.
does raise here. Mixon looking at jack 3 of the same suit.
Yeah, and kind of the downside to not being all in is that you let hands like this peel that have 32% equity that would fold.
Michael,
So if I were Michael, I would treat this hand as the nuts. Basically, I would expect all ace X's to jam, and all the pairs between sixes and aces to also jam.
well, the 5 on the turn going to make it a lot easier for Michael to feel
Yeah.
confident, and he goes ahead and makes a
It's pretty big. and
bet. Yeah,
He's putting in a third of his stack, and this sucks for Mixon. I think it's kind of tough to know what his range is like when he checks this flop, raises none all in pre-flop, and then checks this flop. I think the bet is just a little too big. I think if it were something like 200K, I would consider appeal. But I don't know. I feel like the hands that are bluffing, like king, queen, king, jack, I would expect them to just bet the flop.
and Michael's pretty much saying he's committed here.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Yeah, bet 40% of a stack. It sucks to fold pairs, and it sucks to fold on this board. Because there's not that many hands to beat you, but yeah, I would there's not that many hands to beat you, but I would expect Michael to have all of them. So
Mixon's still chewing on it for a bit. Yeah,
yeah, nice one.
let's it go.
All right, guys, we're up 75, 125, 125.
We'll, of course, be with you till the conclusion of this one. This is the Showdown at the Capitol from TCH Social in Austin. Kyle Frisbee here with you tonight, along with Bones in the booth. You know him from our cash streams, as well as well-known player, of course, around the Austin area and beyond. Hop in the chat, give us a like. Happy to interact with you guys. Mixin Poker is our chip leader, 4.3 million in his stack. Michael, the short stack, with about 12 bigs or so.
Let's see what he decides to do with here. This is, I would probably just be all in with this one. You can also raise. It just, the offsuit version of this just plays really poorly, but he's going to get it through.
Takes it down, chips up to just about 2 million. Rena saying hi in chat. Good evening, back at you.
I feel like this is the hand that Augie's going to want to limp. And also of note that the blinds are 75, 125. That is incentivizes limping a bit more since it's a 3-5 structure instead of a 1-2 structure.
Middle pair for Augie. Gonna outflop Michael's king high.
Yeah.
He continues for what looks like 150. Michael does make the call.
It's interesting.
Choosing to peel and is going to get a reasonably favorable turn card. He turns an open-ender, looking for king 7 or deuce.
It's a tough spot now. Oh, he finds the jam. Very quickly, too.
Wow, Augie sizes up and just gets immediately ripped on by Michael.
Yeah, I like this. I mean, if you're going to float the flop when you get this turn, probably got to stick it in.
This could be a balance of power. Depending on what Augie decides, Michael would now be second in chips. And
I think if he doesn't have the backup deuce, if he just say he has queen 5, I think he might find a fold here. But with the deuce, he can still beat some club draws that have gutters. The floats that turn open end. I think he's, wow, okay. Nice play by Michael.
3-4.
does let it go. And Michael,
Very well done. I'm impressed with Michael's play. He's playing very well.
up over 2.8 million now. And Augie, the new short stack. Not desperately short, however. Ace-3 suited for Augie on the button. It's kind of an interesting spot, Bones. What's your course of action here with the
So
suited
I
ace?
think if I had the offsuit variety, I would be all in. And then with the suited, I would raise small just because it plays better post flop.
Does just that. Bit over a 2x raise. Mixin does have the offsuit variety.
Yeah, and he can jam here. It just, I think there's people who I thought were opening at a, I don't know. If you think he's opening 50% of hands, I think you can jam here pretty happily.
Does rip it, and pretty quick call from Augie, and unless we have a flush, we'll be chopping this one up. See if we get a sweat. $3.65 in the middle. Augie's tournament life at risk. And only backdoor hearts will avoid a chop. And we'll do just that.
And we play on.
What happened with the small blind? That's what happened with the small blind. Yeah, the last one. Supposed to have one. I was supposed to have 150. 3 chops, right? You gave me 100.
Yeah, because it's 70.
I was buttoned.
There's 125 out there.
So it's 125, 250 plus 75. How much is that?
There's 125, my 125 plus the 75. It's 200. That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
It was right because it was
Your big one.
125
Yeah,
plus
yeah.
75.
200, yeah,
It's
you're right.
200.
Yeah.
Just a little dispute on the chop. Seems like they worked it
No,
out.
we're good.
A little quick group math.
Just when we get paid. 7 folds, 3 folds. Yeah, just call them when we get to leave the money.
Notable that Mixon is giving Augie some limps with his worst hands. It's always something to keep in mind.
Really anybody's game. Mixon's still the chip leader, but Augie could be chip leader with just a double through Mixon, so a lot of poker left to be played. Mixon finding the raise with King 9 on the button. And that'll take it down.
He just doesn't want to.
A lot of walks at this table.
What time did you get here? 1? You got here like at 3, right?
Yeah, these players have been playing for a long time. In the neighborhood of 11, 12 hours or so. But definitely not the time to let fatigue get to you.
Yeah.
Most money is left to be made now.
Absolutely. It's very easy to get fatigued at the end of the session, but that's kind of where you make your most money, both in cash and in tournaments. I mean, in cash games, the games generally end up bigger as the day goes on. That's where kind of the biggest pots are. We're going to see Cam opening probably one of the worst hands in his range. I would not expect Augie to fold here. I think you have a pretty good hand to be all in. You can also see a flop, but it's such a big raise. I think I'm probably just all in here.
Just lets it go.
Yeah. So I think what could be in his head is that Cam has given him a few walks. So he might think that Cam is opening a tighter range and not folding as much to jams, which is understandable. So, but Cam gets the benefit of mixing it up a little bit.
Is that an accidental play on his name, mixing it up? I think he's used that name actually before. In the past
Sure, yeah.
streams. Not going to mix it up this time with Jack 5 and 7 deuce and another walk.
Yeah, that's kind of tight, especially with this blind structure where you're getting to complete for a little bit of a discount. So Nagi is down to 12 bigs.
Yeah, Augie getting close to a similar spot Michael was in a few minutes ago.
So we see he's opening here instead of jamming. Let's see if it's a strong hand.
Queen Jack suited.
Okay, so it's a hand that plays well post flop, and like he can just call a jam with
my
it.
aces.
So there's kind of these things like we kind of discussed it a little bit with the ace 3 suited, where if your hand plays well post flop, you can just like raise small and then call it off, or you can jam too, but like what you don't want to be doing is raising small with the hands that are happy to be all in but don't play all that well post flop. Those hands you just want to be all in. Hands like pocket fours, something like that. I think he'd be happier to jam that and not be all that thrilled about calling a jam. Whereas Queen Jack suited is fine if you get called by the big blind, and it's fine to call off a jam. He can be all in here, or he can check.
Small blind limp from Mixon, and Augie will check his option with Queen 10 offsuit and 10 in the window. Top pair.
Double gutter for Mixon.
Both players with a piece.
Let's see if Cam check raises this board.
Gonna go the call route.
Definitely reasonable.
We'll see in a turn. Mixon looking for a 9 or a 5, and ace of diamonds is not it. Neither player probably, well, as played, Mixon probably not going to have a lot of aces in his range.
I would just expect an ace X to jam pre-flop versus 11 bigs or whatever he had.
River is a 6, and Augie's pair of 10 is going to be good.
This is a hand that I would expect Mixon to bluff. You're not going to really have any worse hands here. You don't have a club in your hand.
7 high.
And he's going to choose to check, which is probably for the best. Augie probably just calls that down. But yeah, that would honestly be my first choice of hands to bluff if I was Cam. But he may think that Augie just doesn't have many folds, so.
More life for a short stack. Augie pretty close to neck and neck for second. Mixon covering them both by about 2 million and change.
I don't know.
They wanted to, though. They wanted to. Who makes 300?
Raised to 300,000 with Jack 8 off on the button. And there's the ladies for Augie. Welcome sight for him. Just picked up a pot, and now with a super premium 3-handed.
So what is this, about 16 bigs? I'm gonna go with a small 3-bet.
775.
That's 775. excuse me, 575.
That looks like
It was 775.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Graphic a little off, but either way, he's going to win the pot. And Augie, he's chipped up 1 million in chips in 2 hands. Up to 2.7 or so.
See if he opens this. That's good.
Five makes it 275.
275 is the raise with King 8.
Seven's gonna fold.
Michael folds and mixing ace 10 in the big. Tabasco sauce goes on top of those cards.
Let's see, off of 21 effective. Yeah, you can jam, you can 3-bet small, you can call. I think anything is okay.
Yeah, it goes all in, and that's actually how things got started for Mixon. Won a huge all in with ace 10 early. And Augie going to release the King 8, and Mixon going to win a pretty decent pot. Give y'all a reminder of payouts. We haven't had an elimination in some time. All these players have locked up 97.90. 21-7 up top. Pay jumps, obviously the biggest they'll ever be with the final 3. Kyle Frisbee and Bones. How did I mess up Bones? Joining you from Austin tonight. Thanks all of you for joining us. Hop in the chat. Let us know who you're rooting for.
Three makes it 375.
Blind v blind again, and Queen 8 makes a raise for Mixon, and Augie wakes up with 8s.
Yeah, just pretty happy to be all in here. Might even be strong enough to induce, but I think I'd probably just be all in.
Clear one.
All the chips in the middle for Augie, and Mixon gonna have to let it go.
Is he talking about Mixon? He hasn't won the tournament yet. Let's not call him the savior.
Five makes it
Augie limps a small blind with 7-6, and Michael, pretty decent hand, 3-handed, King 9 suited.
Yeah, he's gonna go with the small raise.
fold. Seven makes it 425.
I have to say, this has been a pretty solidly played final table. We haven't really seen a ton of head scratchers. Of course, these 3 players playing really nice poker.
I think maybe Nixon early on with the Queen 9 4-bet, which I think is probably fine. I think I don't think anyone's been like really out of line. And I think these guys are all playing like really solid 3-handed poker. I would say that there are a few hands that I would have opened that they didn't, but I think that they're not. The opens aren't making that much money, so like I think passing them is fine.
Speaking of opening, Augie going to raise 9-10 off from the button, and Michael releasing the king deuce suited. Mixon going to defend with 6-3 of diamonds. Six in the window and
Okay.
6 and a 3 behind it. I'd call this a favorable flop for 6-3 of diamonds.
Yeah.
Just a boat, and Mixon will check. And he's got a customer, Augie, going to go ahead and bet 175. And we're not raising now, are we?
No,
Bones?
I think we just have too much on the board.
Yeah.
You just want him to hit an overcard.
Yeah, Mixon looking for a 9 or a 10 on the turn. 1.1 already in the middle. And 4 of spades. No help for Augie or hurt, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, this is just probably the worst hand you can possibly have here.
Augie checks back the turn, and river is a king.
I think I would always check this with Mixon. You get value from his King X, it might call a check raise, and you let him bluff this card to try to fold your hand out when you have a 3. Or a 4 if you have, 7-4 or something like that. But it looks like he's going to go for the bet.
He makes it 8-25.
Does make a wager, and pretty quick fold there from Augie. Did get one additional street of value
Yeah.
post flop, so Mixon right about where he's been hovering for some time, about 4.4 million in chips. What a flop for 6-3 defending in the big blind.
About as good as it gets.
Close to as good as it gets, especially three-handed. Big slick for Michael with the button.
See how big he goes here.
7 makes it 325. 3 folds.
Race at 325. Mixon will fold as well as Augie. Michael now with 2.5. Quick reminder of our promos. We stream on Wednesday as well as have high hands 12 to 8 p.m. Make the high hand every 30 minutes, win $250. Full house or better qualifies.
He makes it 250.
Mixon raising 6-5 from the button. Sizes down a tad to 250, and Michael wakes up with ace-10 in the big blind.
I think I would go for a jam here. As I mentioned before, basically with this exact hand, you can go small, you can jam, you can call. He decides to go with the small 3-bet. So 550.
$5.50 is the new price of poker, and see how Mixon wants to proceed.
I think I would have gone a bit bigger. But with this one, you basically fold out his trashiest openings like this one. But the hands that have like Jack 7 suited and stuff like that, he's going to defend. But looks like Mixon's going to come along, getting a good price.
Does have position, and to a flop will go 1.3 in the middle. Seven, 8 king, and open ender for Mixon.
Yes, but like this open ender is not like, yes, you have an open ender, but this board texture is just like really good for the 3-better. Your open ender is not to the nuts, which like it stacks the shallow, it doesn't matter that much, but it's such a good board for the 3-better.
Check back from Mixon.
Yeah, I kind of like the check, and then decide on the turn if you want to put more in.
And turn is just the nuts.
Yeah, there you go. Now you want to put more in. But this seems like just a give up from Michael.
Yeah, even his pacing kind of gives you a give up sense.
So I would expect something like this. I would bet something
Drinking
so
so much
small
water.
that he feels like he can't give up. Like if someone just looks like they're just
I'll
done
leave it
with the
alone.
hand, but I still want to put chips in the pot. I would put something like 200K in, just so he can think to himself like, I'm getting such a good price. Like if I just have 2 overcards, then I'm getting the price to call. If I just have 1 overcard, I'm getting the price to call. And just kind of look at it that way rather than checking or betting big. But
Some of the guys
Cam's gonna take it down risk free.
And I believe first time cracking the 5 million chip mark for any player. So Mixon back in a pretty commanding chip lead as he had earlier. Making a couple hands, 6-3 flops a boat, turning a straight with 6-5.
So they both have 14 bigs.
Man, again.
Wow, Mixon getting a walk with kings. Now ace queen for Michael on the button.
I think you can raise small. This is probably too good of a hand to be all in with, I would think. He's also kind of shown a penchant for not really shoving more than 10 bigs.
$375. Mixon's got queen 9 in the small blind and doing a little chip inventory. Or potentially counting out a 3-bet. I think we were doing inventory.
Yeah, it seems like it's just an inventory thing.
He'll let it go.
And I think this is too big to defend.
Well, we know this hand flops boats, but
It does.
what's the likelihood of it twice?
I'm no mathematician, but it seems unlikely. Think the blinds are going up?
I thought it was 2. All right, everyone, that's my time. Best of luck this time.
You can hear the clock in the background. Julia returns and should be at the new blind level here in a moment. Indeed, we are 75, 150 now. Now Augie with just 11 bigs.
5,000 for 5 million. You got 5 million, Nixon?
Yeah. I was like, wait, what is he looking at now today? I was like 500. Yeah, that makes more sense, yeah.
Ace Jack for Augie, sitting on 10 bigs.
Yeah. I think you can just be all in here. Can also make something smaller, I guess. But I think just all in is pretty natural.
All in.
All in. And a couple of sevens for Michael. This is basically for his remaining chips.
Yeah, this is.
Ask for a count.
Yeah, can't get away from this one. Not that he'd want to. I hate when people say, like, I can't fold this and it's like a good hand. Not that he wants to. Like, you're pretty happy to call it off here.
Does just that, and basically we have a flip for second and third.
Yep.
Augie's tournament life at risk, but Michael would be left with 2 bigs. Ace, King 8, and Augie outflopping Michael. We're looking for one of 2 remaining sevens. Does not come, and Augie going to nearly stack Michael. He's going to be on fumes, and Augie up to 3.4 million.
Yeah. Nothing Michael could do there. Just cooler.
Augie ace 10 suited on the button after the double up. $325 is the raise. Quick folds, and he'll take it down.
It's always nice to see Nixon fold there when you open, knowing that he has. It's just such a great spot for him to mess with you, with Michael having 1.5 bigs left.
Michael 10-3 suited, about to be all in the big blind.
Yeah, this kind of sucks because you have to post the big blind ante next.
Yeah, he gonna go with it.
I can't do it.
9-3 folds, and
9-4 calls.
Augie calls Michael.
Threes, duffel to one of your nines.
2-1 favorite to stay alive.
Duffel to one of your nines, too. So.
Definitely rather get called by the 9-3 than the 9-4.
Just 4.
Augie looking for a 9 or a 4. Now a club. 12 outs on the river for Augie.
Oh my goodness.
And there it is.
Four. Holy smokes.
The 4 gets there, and Michael will be our third place finisher.
Good game, Michael. Well played.
Well, it's been a while since we said it because he's stuck around so long, but Michael started at several points early on, was one of the shorter stacks, and manages to pay jump all the way up to 97.90.
Yeah, thank you, man.
What a
Congrats.
great
You're
effort
on.
from him,
Yeah,
outlasting
Josh.
pretty large field
Pause
on
the
a
clock, have
Saturday.
little break.
Yep.
I'll go to the bathroom real quick. Oh,
And
golly.
Mixon and Augie have locked up 15-2-30, and
Sick, bro.
looks like they're going to take a moment maybe to talk chop. They are relatively close in chips, so we'll see
Oh, man. God, I'm pissed so
what
bad.
transpires here off camera. Players do have one opportunity to pause the clock and discuss the chop.
1782. And then for heads up.
Wouldn't be too surprised if that's what they arrive at. I was, of course, familiar with Mixon. Augie,
Yeah.
I think Bones you were a bit more familiar with to start the show, so two
Yeah.
very experienced players.
He's been around for quite a while playing in Austin. I would expect they both know each other quite well, and
I mean,
probably have a fair amount of respect for each other's game.
1, 2. Let's see. Like I said, one of us is gonna get the C. So I'd be happy to, if I have like more chips right now. I mean, we could just look at ICM for one, and then just end it right there, since I'm already getting I would be getting the seat, and then you get an extra, let's see, probably 3K, probably. Something like that. It's gotta be somewhere close to that if we look at the number. And we can do that too if you want. Yeah, that's cool with me. Yeah, that's cool with me. I'll write it down.
All right, so making a quick check, seems the players will return and play a few more hands, so hang with us. Looks like there will be some more poker folks
Let's do it.
here in a moment. Unable to strike a deal. So we get a little more entertainment. Appreciate all of you spending your Sunday evening with us. Kyle Frisbee with you.
Blind last.
Bones here in the booth.
Can't be a big blind again. I had some big
So at this juncture, we're essentially playing a
I was about to draw
6.5K
75 twice.
heads-up match.
Big day for guys in beards, sunglasses, and hats. This could have been your time, Kyle.
I know. I should have played. If I had only known, if I played this tournament, brought my sunglasses, would have had a shot. Got a limp and a checked option. Ace, ace, queen, 9 high. Good for the moment for Augie. Has position. Will exercise it and bet. Tough for Mixon to represent any piece of that board given the pre-flop action, so he will release.
They're just about even.
Still stuck at the last blind level, sorry.
Raise for Mixon with 10-7 off on the button. Augie going to defend with 6 deuce. And that's trip sixes. And a gut shot for Mixon.
Gut shot, backdoor flush draw. Definitely a hand that he wants to be c-betting here.
It's going to c-bet small, 200,000.
I think this is one of the sixes that I would choose to check raise. But he's going to go with the call.
Four of clubs on the turn.
Gives him the double gutter now. This is definitely a hand that I would want to double barrel. Basically, you know, you have the double gutter and the spade that you can bluff a lot, but looks like Augie's going to go for the lead here.
450.
Not wanting overpairs to check back.
Does make the call. Looking for a 9 or a 5. And that's just a boat for Augie. Opponent arrives here with just 10 high.
This is an interesting spot for Augie.
2 million in the middle. Front door flush does complete. One with a sizable, looks like a round half pot. Almost exactly that, 1 million.
I mean, if you're ever going to have a bluff jam on the river, it's probably this. But like Augie looks like he has a strong hand, so you may not want to have any bluffs. Having the spade, having the straight
Considered it.
blocker.
Consider
I guess,
making a
although
wild
you're
call.
basically just repping boats on the river, but I don't know. It's hard to have both blockers here. Having the 8 doesn't matter that much. I don't know. I think it's, if you wanted to bluff raise the river, I think that's a fine candidate. But I definitely do not blame him for not doing that.
And Augie just winning a 2 million chip pot and wakes up with aces heads up. And gonna limp. Getting a little trappy. Mixon not gonna get trapped pre-flop. Checks back and flops an open ender. Check from Mixon, and Augie looks back at his cards. That is still aces. I go small. Ish. 175.
Yep, seems good.
And the check raise comes in from Mixon. He will raise it up to 425.
Mostly repping 10-9 here. Just about every other combo is pretty incentivized to raise from the big blind.
Augie reaches for more chips.
Click it back.
975 is a 3-bet, and
It's a really interesting hand.
yeah, Mixon doing a little inventory. Goes without saying, but I'm sure he wishes that 10 was a heart. Augie,
Yeah.
sure feeling the same.
It's a tough spot for Cam.
$6,500 hanging in the balance.
Getting a really good price. Gonna call. Ace of spades would be a salty card.
Instead, it's the 7 of spades, and Nixon unable to improve.
Curious what Augie would have done against a gem there.
Cameron now just with a touch under a 1 SPR. Gonna check. And if you're Augie at this point, after your raise gets called, are you worried that you're being trapped?
I don't know what's trapping me.
Yeah, he's all in, so he's not worried about it. And Mixon will have to lay down his draw.
So I would expect
9-10, basically the
Yeah.
one hand that.
I would expect all of the sets to raise pre-flop. I would expect ace-10 to raise pre-flop. Sometimes 9-10 suited to raise pre-flop. So basically you're looking at 10-9 off. And that might just try to get it on the flop pretty often. So I don't know what I'm trapped by. The hand that I'm trying to get to fold the most is Jack X of Hearts. Although, I mean, it doesn't... Yeah, Jack X of Hearts, really. Just has a lot of equity.
So massive pot for Augie.
Yep.
And we'll get the graphics corrected here momentarily. We're stuck on the conclusion of that last hand for the time being. We got a rip from Mixon and a quick fold from Augie. Ripping the A7 offsuit, 9 high folds, and about a 4-1 chip lead for Augie. Augie picking up some hands here, heads up now with jacks. That luck distribution graphic might start to look a little different.
It might not.
Or it might
Who
not.
knows? Who knows?
That's Bones' way of saying who cares.
Yeah. So he's just going to go with another limp. This is a hand that Cam can also go all in with.
King
Think
10
so.
off for
Bitch.
Mixon.
It's a bit strong to check.
Does rip and snap by Augie, and Mixon
We got
gonna need some help.
a degree all-in moment. He's ahead with jacks.
He has no chance.
I feel like we've had a ton of 70-30s this final table.
I feel like the 30s have done pretty well.
They have, yeah, in fact. 8-5 deuce. Mixon looking for a king. Turn no help. Augie 1 card away from being the champion of the showdown at the Capitol. Queen on the river will seal it, and Augie is our champion of the showdown at the Capitol, and also, probably more importantly to him, going to be taking home $21,700. Mixon, awesome effort. Good to see him have a great showing here at yet another stream final table. He'll go home $15,230 richer.
What a week for you,
And
bro.
that will conclude things from here in Austin, Texas. Want to welcome all of you back this coming Wednesday. We've got 2-5 No Limit Hold'em cash game match the stack. I'll be in the booth for that. So join us at 6 p.m. as always on Wednesday night. Want to thank our dealers, Julia and Michael, tonight, and of course my guest host tonight, Bones. Well, I'm sure we'll see you back out on the felt as well. Hope to have you back in the booth here in the future. That'll wrap things up from Austin, Texas. Any final thoughts, Bones? Felt like you
It was
had.
great to see these guys play, and I appreciate the invite.
It was a great time, and that'll wrap things up. Have a great night, everyone.